Mid-set day 2 was really interesting, I think. I spent, I was only able to watch the first half of it, which is unfortunate because, the second half is when it got really spicy. So I was having a bit of a stressful day and had to kind of stop and take a breather. But I was watching, I was watching 4 streams at the same time. And I was trying to get like a sort of rounded view of a couple of players that I wanted to watch, and people from sort of each lobby. The chat is ready to display messages. Hi, Raven. I wanted to kind of get a round perspective of both lobbies. There were 2 lobbies of 16 total players, so 8 each today, and the top 8 move on to tomorrow. And of course, the games have already been sort of played and decided. So we're going to kind of look at the final results of day 2, and then watch a few VODs that I've pulled out that I thought were just really interesting. A couple perspectives of players from what I saw that were able to make some really interesting decisions and sort of save games, and players who were in kind of a rough situation who really sort of pulled it out. So I have 4 games to watch tonight, and hopefully we learn quite a bit from them. But first, let's go and take a look at how we sort of ended the day. So Amde here played out of their mind yesterday and today. We watched one of their VODs from yesterday, from day 1, and they were clearly playing like really well. And I was kind of surprised because Chalky had a really good day 1 and started off day 2 extremely strong, and then unfortunately sort of kind of fell off from there and did not make the final cut. Really only by a couple of placements. That's one of the things about these tourneys is because of the way that the points are and how many games, or how few I should say, they play. Every single placement matters points-wise. But even with a 3-point sort of head start for winning the first day, still came out with a disappointing kind of 27 points as they kind of floundered in the final lobby that they were in, unfortunately. Obviously, if you follow TFT at all, you know that Soju had a really rough day. I was watching his perspective on a few different games, and he made some choices, a few gambles that didn't really pay off, particularly a Pandora's Bench game that didn't really work out for him. So he basically had a dead augment because the whole point was to find dragon, but he naturaled that dragon anyway, and didn't really get a lot of value out of it. Just a lot of series of sort of small disappointing missteps like that couldn't necessarily be predicted in the moment. So we're gonna watch one of his games, and a couple of other people. I thought Kurumx is one of my favorite streamers, and has been since like set 2 or 3. And I just don't want to run over my cat's tail, backing up a little bit. He put together a pretty strong day. It was a little back and forth, but he made the cut. He's going into day 3 on the back of a really strong showing in the final lobby, going second. But there was a game sort of earlier where he pulled out a 4th that I really thought was really interesting. It was a really interesting 4th. He, I think, placed better than he probably should have. But made some really interesting sort of decisions and pivots, and I thought it was a really interesting way of looking at how to play contested and pivot out and when to make these decisions. So yeah, without any further ado, let's look at day 3. Again, because of the way that this tournament format works out, the top 3 from day 2 get bonus points going into the final day. 6 games to decide sort of who wins the finale and guarantees a spot at regionals, at the NA regionals, which is kind of a big deal because it means all of 7.5, you don't have to worry about ladder, you don't have to play in any more tournaments, you're just in there. So it's a pretty big deal. I think the top 2 are guaranteed a spot, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So, Amde, Robin, who is playing extremely well today. DarthNub, also playing extremely well today. We're going to watch one of their VODs. Coming into day 3 with bonus points. Bert, who was back and forth, and I was actually kind of surprised, was able to turn it around. We're going to watch one of their VODs. Clear and DQA, who were also playing like really sort of strong throughout, really kind of consistent play. Pocky and Kurumx. And Pocky is another one of those like sort of players that really consistently pulls out like top 4 placements, and that is enough in these tournament settings a lot of the times to kind of eke your way in. They're kind of unpredictable, but you know that they're going to be a strong player, and so it's really interesting watching them play in lobbies. It doesn't really seem to matter who's in the lobby; they're going to make sort of smart calls and get in there. It's so odd it's not an equitable tournament. Those who win early gain more benefit than those who win late. You can have exactly the same performance and be punished based on when it occurs. See, the reason why it is this way is because let's say you're chalky, right? You're chalky and you have had an extremely strong first day, right? You went 8-8. Where is there? You went first, third, third, fourth, right? That is an extremely strong day. No bot 4s in the entire tournament. And then you go into day 2 and you have nothing. You start off no sort of better off than somebody who barely squeaked in, right? You have 10 more points up, one first place and basically 2 games, right? A first and a 6th head start on DQA and Robin, who barely kind of squeak in, and you have nothing to show for it. Why would you ever play for anything other than 16th, right? Just making the cut. Why would you ever play really competitively? So to reward people who had a really strong day, the first day, they give them a little bit of a bonus on the second day. So now here we have, Clear, who kind of barely made the cut, right, by 1 placement, by 1 point, and Amde, who had a significantly better day, right? So going into the third day, you want to give them a little bit of a competitive edge, right, for having such a good day 2. Day 2 should not count for nothing, right? Your play throughout the tournament should inform, right, how likely you are to continue moving forward. Rather than being a completely clean slate. People were really frustrated because it used to be run like that. It used to be a completely clean slate every single day, and people were like, great, I went 1-1-1-1-1-1-1 on day 1, and now I have to do it again, or I'm out, right? Whatever. People who succeed off the bat are more likely to succeed overall. I think it's just recognizing prior performance, right? So that each day you are incentivized to play as good as you can. Because if you get that higher placement today, that could mean a better chance at winning tomorrow, rather than it being. If it's a cumulative score, then it should be whoever gets the most points. Period. It's not a cumulative score though. They sort of don't want somebody with such a severe advantage, right? If we look at Amde, right, 31 points here, and then another 36 here, like two really good days. You don't want it to be so that the final lobby is basically like first place and everyone else, because then you're also not incentivized to play really well. There's no, I don't think there's any perfect tournament system for TFT, partly because no matter what, your sample size is going to be so small. If you watch ladder play, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, right? If you look at, any person who is rank 1 at any given time, and you look at their ladder scores, you're going to see 8s and 7s and 6s, as well as first, seconds, and thirds, right? TFT is so much of a volume game. And in a tournament, you're playing 6 games a day. That's it. It's such a small sample size. And so there's no real good way to represent, especially with how much variance there is per game, right? Like which augments you're offered, the quality of those augments, what kind of openers and carousels you get. There's so much variance in the game that it's really kind of hard. There's no like tournament mode where everybody kind of gets the same start, everyone gets the same items, everyone gets offered the same augments or anything like that, right? It is a game that has a certain amount of RNG involved in it. And there's really no perfect way to kind of put a tournament together for this game. So they're going off of player feedback of the players who are consistently in the tournament saying, this is what we'd like to see. This is what we think would be fair. And yeah, so there's no fair judge of skill because it's not a fair game by design. Sure. Yeah. There are inherently games where you just kind of low roll or where your augments are not that great and somebody else gets offered like level up or clear mind or something like that, right? It has a really, really strong augment to play around in the first augment, and you have like Axiom Arc, Electro Charge, True Twos, and you're like, wow, this is where that whole like we're not playing the same game comes in, right? Sometimes somebody's start is just objectively better, and you have to make decisions around that. You have to make decisions and say, okay, I got really shitty first augment. What am I going to do from here to make up my disadvantage? Am I just playing for a top 4 placement? Am I going to play a lot more aggressively because other people are going to be able to play more safely, aggressively, whatever, right? You come in with equal knowledge, even if you don't have equal opportunities, which is like supposedly the capitalist dream, and it's got problems. But that's what the players have all kind of like largely debated and argued and agreed on as the best kind of compromise that maybe we could pull off. Okay, I want to get into the first game. The first game I want to watch is a Bert game. Now, Bert, I watched the first part of his day, and he was having some struggles. There was a lot of Deja clickers. Okay, there were a lot of Deja clickers in TFT today. And the way that Deja works is you're going to have 3 people playing it, and one person's going to hit really well, and probably top 2, maybe top 3, and you're going to have 2 players who don't hit, and they're going to go 6th and 7th. And we saw that over and over and over again in lobbies today. Deja clickers, lots and lots of Deja clickers. And Bert was having a really interesting day. He was kind of up and down, and it didn't really seem like a lot of the games that he was playing. It didn't really seem like he had a lot of direction, specifically in terms of like what he wanted to do and how he wanted to execute. There was a bit of low rolling as well. And so when I stopped watching, I'd kind of written Bert off. I was like, I think Bert's tournament's over. So I was really sort of surprised to wake up and realize that that was not the case. Bert really, really turned it around. And 2 of the streamers we're going to be watching today, we're going to watch games where their tournament is kind of on the line, right? They really, really have to pull it together and play really, really well to be able to move on to day 3. And Bert and Kurumx both were able to do that. So we're going to watch games from them. We're going to start with Bert. So without any further ado, this is, I think, the first game of the 3rd lobby. So game 5. Robin's so high on the leaderboard. Robin's been playing really fucking well. He must be exhausted, I agree. But like, I think, regardless of whether Robin is getting enough sleep or anything like that, right? Like, they are very clearly very committed to doing really, really well this tournament. I've seen it in Robin's ladder play. I've seen it certainly in the tournament play. Robin is playing out of his mind. And hopefully it doesn't burn him out too much. But, if you, I think, get top 2 in this tournament, you can basically play set 7.5 for fun because you're guaranteed, right? You're guaranteed to get a spot in regionals, which leads you to worlds, right? That's the finale for NA that feeds into worlds. And I think only like 3 or 4 players from regionals, and there's a lot of different ways to qualify. 3 or 4 players from any regionals go to worlds. So getting that spot in regionals already and not having to like grind ladder and play for points or play in any more tournaments until the final one is kind of a big deal, right? It allows you to spend the next 3 months like breathing easy. So it is no surprise to me that there are a lot of players who are really, really, really working hard in this tournament, right? To play as well as they can and get the best placements that they can. And what that looks like and how people get there, I think on day 2 was really interesting, because some of the games we're going to watch is, revolve, I think, around the idea that, like, cool, there's going to be 3 Deja pickers in my lobby. What do I do? How do I, if I get a Deja opener, do I click Deja and run the risk of running contested against 2 people and missing? Cool, I got a great Deja opener. That's no guarantee that I'm going to have a great Deja mid-game, right? There's no guarantee I'm going to get Deja. So what happens there? And actually, the Kurumx game we watch is exactly like that, and he's able to pull out a pretty solid placement as a result. And we will get to that. But this game I have not watched yet, so it'll be interesting for you and I, hopefully, as we kind of look at how Bert turns the tournament around and manages to go from a pretty rough spot to playing really well and securing that third day slot. He's got his own music playing. I got my my VOD from yesterday muted because of the music that people were listening to in their own games. Glove start. I hate a glove start. I really don't like it. So that's, maybe Bert knows something I don't. I mean, Bert definitely knows something I don't, but I don't think it's about glove opener. Now, getting a TG off the bat, pretty good. Pretty good. High APM right there. Skarner pair, set pair, Heimer. If you get gold here, you're in a really good spot. To play a lot of different directions. Does not get the gold. That's a whole Nidalee, but Nidalee is probably the worst unit in the game right now. So that's kind of the least appealing shop you can possibly get. Kiana is not in a good spot right now either. So Kiana, Tom Kench, Nidalee is not a great shop. But he buys it up anyway. It is a 2-star. Looks at the Mirage, doesn't like it. Sells the Nunu. A lot of people would grab the Nunu and be like, "Oh, it's a Deja game," myself included. A lot of the time, hitting an early Nunu is not bad, depending on the Mirage. So Metabolic and Sunfire, I think, are the ones you kind of, unless you're playing set, Dragonmancer stuff doesn't really inspire. Sunfire is really nice because it means you don't have to build Sunfire cape. And Metabolic is really nice for being able to loss streak really comfortably because you gain back 2 HP. So it makes your early game, where you're usually taking like 4 to 6 for per fight for a loss streak, it mitigates that a little bit. So you can go 5 without being 60 HP. You can be like 80, 75, something like that. He decides to re-roll it. He doesn't like any of that for this opener. You have to start to think that he's playing. He's thinking about playing mages or Corki from here. So he re-rolls. He doesn't like any of those options. And Meditation 2, which is really one of the strongest gold augments in the game, pops up. So this is a really fortunate re-roll. Re-rolling at stage 1, your first augment can be kind of risky because you don't know what kind of augments are coming up later, right? If you go from gold. If you get gold prismatic and all of your prismatics are bad, you're shit out of luck. So it can be a big risk using this reroll rather than taking kind of an okay augment first, right? Metabolic is fine. It's a pretty strong augment early game. It gives you a little bit of direction on how to play, but doesn't like that and is rewarded for it. Meditation is a really good augment. So levels here, puts in Shapeshifter, slams the TG. TG is almost always good if you have 2 gloves and you don't know what to do with them. which is likely because gloves are kind of a low-value item in this particular patch. So slamming TG on the Skarner, when you have the Skarner pair, a really solid choice. Kind of surprised he didn't put the sword on the Nidalee. I'm assuming he's going to want to sell that unit at some point, and her sort of bonus benefits a lot from having that sword. So more Astrals, Heimer pair, Nami, Vlad. You might be thinking about running mages from this spot. Then again, you have TG and a sword. So your items right now are not really giving you a lot of direction, pointing you in that direction.
So we're gonna play a little bit.
But they're not. You can definitely play mages around a sword. They can be Sojin or Hextech or any number of different things. I think its sword is pretty versatile, although only a couple of comps really use it for best in slot. But if you're playing mages, you know, you're probably building around Siphon, and Siphon really benefits from swords with Bloodthirster, with Edge of Night, two really good items for that unit. So playing mages and having a sword does not preclude you from that. It's one of the reasons why Siphon Mages is so strong is because you have this sort of frontline carry with backline access in Siphon who does AD, right? Does physical damage, while the rest of your units are dealing this magic damage. And having that hybrid of damage means it's really hard to build around to counter that comp, because if you go all Mystics, then here's Siphon doing all this physical damage. If you go all this physical damage, you're building Bramble and all that sort of stuff. You've got Zoe, potentially Ao Shin, right? Sona, who are doing this AP damage. So now we get Trainer in, which gives a much clearer sort of direction. We've got Bruiser, Trainer, a really strong opener that can still, again, lead into Corki, or it can lead into Mages. Just Trainer is very good right now in general. Getting that Trist and Heimer pair, making 10, really strong spot from this point. Also, if you don't know, I went ahead and created a TFT YouTube channel specifically for my TFT content. You can go there and subscribe to it if you're into this kind of thing. If you want to learn, if you want to watch, you know, some of the highlights from my streams, stuff like that. My regular sort of YouTube channel has really kind of pulled people in from like leftist lo-fi and video essays and stuff, and I don't want to muddy the water too much. So I decided to make a separate channel for that. So if you're interested, you can click that and subscribe and get that content. Recommend it to you whenever I post it. Yay, no muddying waters. Yeah, no muddying waters. Let the algorithm know what the fuck to do with me. So we pulled the Alawi with the glove, 3 Bruiser, 2 Trainer, strong front line. His back line is kind of weak. Heimer Trist is not super strong. So having more time, having more front line for Namzi to be able to cast twice, for instance, and for Trist to be able to cast multiple times, and Heimer to be able to cast multiple times is pretty good. Now, if you weren't able to watch this tournament earlier in the day, I think from this point, Amde had just the most insane high roll game of the tournament, guaranteed. Like, I don't know how anyone's going to beat this in terms of high rolls. He plays he gambles on Shimmer Scale, and it pays off really big, and he winds up with at the end an Itis 3 and a Pike 3 on his board. And it is an utterly insane game, extremely strong. Doesn't get baited by the Shio Yu here. Could, right? Shio Yu with trainer kind of early and not that big of a deal. Lol, what? Yeah, 2/6, level 5. He's got a 2% chance per little slot, right? There's a 2% chance per slot to hit one of those 4-cost units, and he hits the Aoshin or Aoshin, the Shiryu. Holds it just in case. You can still play it from here for sure. Isn't really sure if that's the direction that he wants to go. Looks around, sees there's, at least one Jade player out there. But, from this spot, if there's only one Jade player, one obvious Jade player, and you hit Shio Yu, Jade can absolutely support 2 players. He has a pretty flexible augment to be able to sort of move like that if he wants to. Is it stronger than TK, Skarner? He's going to try it out, see if he likes it. That is an 8 gold investment. So dragons early, obviously very, very strong. So when you see one in your shop, it's almost always best practice to pick it up when you get it that early, right? Doesn't mean you have to keep it. If you're like playing Deja or you're playing Siphon and you're doing that, right? You're building towards that. It still doesn't hurt to grab that dragon and slot him in for a few fights. Save you some HP for sure, because dragons are such a big early game power spike, no matter sort of how you shake it out. Now he gets this, Karma, Anivia. TG's the Shio Yu. Maybe sort of regrets it. I've got BT here on the bench. But doesn't seem super interested in pivoting to Jade. That TG slam on the Shio Yu basically says, I'm not keeping this. Does not get the Anivia from the shop. Is just playing a strong early unit while he has it to hit 30 here. Has good HP. Is not streaking into neutrals. And clearly sort of is looking at the sword, cloak, belt, glove, and saying, yeah, I think it's going to be Siphon. I think it might be Corki. Recombobulator is really big here, turning this 8-cost dragon into a 10-cost dragon. It's got the TG on it. Pulls the trainers off the board, decides to recombobulate, and gets a Shyvana at 3-2. Not bad. That is a good way to turn your game around. Gets 2 removers, can pull that TG off anytime. Now is maybe looking for a Rage Wing or a Gnar or something to... here we go, 5 Rage Wing. You really kind of want to get 6, but you'd have to push to level 7 to fit that in anyway. So don't look an early Shyvana gift horse in the mouth. By the way, this is really, if you're playing TFT and you're like, Recombobulator, why would I ever want to take that? This is why. This is the reason why you would ever want to take it. If you hit an early dragon, unfortunate loss there. If you hit an early dragon and you get Recombobulator, it automatically upgrades to the next highest tier, and dragons automatically become better dragons. Honestly, pretty insane that he lost that fight there by about 150 HP total on that Trist and the Jinx. Really, really unfortunate. But still a very, very strong board. He's like, okay, how can I guarantee 40 here? Yeah, the problem with having a Shyvana at 3-2 is you have no front line. Where is your front line? Shyvana immediately Zephyrs herself for about 3 seconds, and those frontline units are able to just walk right up and start hitting those backline units on your side. The great thing is that Shyvana at 3-3, Shyvana 1 with Thieves Gloves is going to be so damn strong that it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're watching that first fight, if you're watching that last fight, the amount of damage she does just with her auto attacks against 1-star units is absolutely absurd. So still in a very, very strong spot despite that kind of fluky, anomalous loss on 3-2. Looking at the Xayah, saying no. I'm playing for items rather than for units. The Xayah, had that glove on. You can make, sort of Runaan's hurt, or not Runaan's, Quicksilver from that, but that's about it. And really, if you're playing Xayah, if you really, really, really want to try and win with Xayah, you really have to. She's really item dependent. She's not in a great spot. And the only way to really sort of pull it off is to high roll a Shyvana early like this, and be able to get really good items on your Xayah. We saw Xayah 3 lose yesterday to a Deja board, so that should tell you everything you need to know about where Xayah is in the meta right now. Uses one of the removers. Recombobulator gives you removers so that you can fix your items and not be completely griefed. Uses one of the removers to make Hajj so that this unit has some healing on her. Siphon, not quite enough to kill her outright, but certainly enough to whittle her down enough that they lose that fight there. Again, the problem with this Shyvana without a Nico or even a Gnar is not getting Shapeshifter bonus, which adds a huge, huge, huge amount of HP to that unit, and not having a secondary frontliner. Believe it or not, Sejuani 1, not quite good enough to solo frontline at 3-6. Not quite. It's close. It's close, but not quite. I'm going to go get another tortilla. I'll be right back. I can tell exactly how much stream delay I have based on how long it takes Star to laugh. Right now it's about 4 seconds, maybe 5. I was walking into the kitchen to get this tortilla, and I heard her laugh her ass off at that. So lost streaking despite the recombobulator, but it's honestly fine. Right now, right, you're playing to hit level 7 so that you can start to hit those, Hecarim, start to hit Xayah. Maybe at this point, Bert is like, hey, this Shyvana's not working out for me. I don't really have units to build around it. Recombobulator does not guarantee that you're going to get good units that synergize well with each other. So you're still winding up rebuilding your board, right? But if you're like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't have any direction, Recombobulator can help you with that. So really, taking a few losses with a weird board until you are able to level up and stabilize. Not bad from this spot. Clearly has decided to commit to Shyvana, is clicking red units like they're going out of style, which they probably are. Upgrades the front line quite a bit with Silas Shen combo. Hits Sej too, and decides to take it out because guess what? Sedge 2, still not a very good frontliner. Thinking about how to itemize around Zaya. But is clearly kind of committed to this Rage Wing. If you high roll Zaya, it is an incredibly good comp. And if you low roll, then you're fucking going 8. But this is quite a high roll. Emily, unfortunately, having a pretty rough day. I was rooting for her to be able to play really well today and go to day 3, but it did not happen, unfortunately. Very close. I mean, all of these lobbies, all of these placements are very, very close. The difference between a 3rd and a 4th on one game can be enough points difference for you to not see day 3. Every single placement sort of matters. And, Soju started the day coming off a very strong day 1 with a 2-point head start and, went 16 out of 16. Still getting to 16 out of 16, getting to day 2 in this tournament, not easy. But, you have to play really, really consistently to be able to get top placements in these tournaments. Shyvana putting in enormous work. Just melting these backline units. Clear here. Low on HP. Leveled. Hit an Ace-Soul. Decided to put it in. Has double best friend. And Cluttered Mind. Still runs into this Shyvana board, and it's not quite enough. Zaya in shop. You do have to ask yourself, is selling Triss 2 ever the right call here? I think not. You certainly want to buy this Zaya. But you're also sitting here on a Corki, right? You're sitting here thinking, I can play Zaya Corki, a perfectly viable comp. I never have been able to make it work. But I've been told that Nico Shyvana Corki is perfectly viable. I think it's probably a lot more consistent and solid than than Zaya, especially considering that don't really have items for anyone, right? Really only has items for Shyvana right now. Has TG on this Trist, has a belt, doesn't really have sort of the means to carry Zaya here, because the unit is so item dependent. So I think wisely says, no, Zaya is fine under the right circumstances, but these are not those circumstances. I've got a Corki. I'm going to play it. It looks like there's only one other Corki player in the lobby as well. So grabbing another glove definitely knows something I don't. Four glove game would make me want to just FF instantly. So slots in the Nami, getting that 3 mage online, which makes Silas that much tankier. Nami and Heimer themselves as mages, pretty underwhelming. Nami 1, Heimer 2, Heimer 3, shit. But Mage Silas 2, you'll see the shield that pops, able to withstand sort of this Revel Barrage solo frontlining, gets mana reaved. It still is able to kind of get half of a, get a full cast off, but not the full mage double cast. Surely, it's enough to keep that backline of dish soap stalled long enough for Shyvana to do her work. A really, really big upgrade just getting mage in there. You know, and this is kind of a great example of a high-level player taking a really, really kind of risky step, right? Recombobulator at 3-2 with this dragon saying, okay, you know, whatever this dragon gives me, that's what I got, man. That's what I'm playing. I gotta figure it out. And getting the Shyvana and saying, okay, Shyvana, I'm playing around this unit. That's my direction now. You know, already had that trainer opener. So Shyvana is kind of a high roll on top of it. But being able to say, like, I'm going to make this risky play and I'm going to know what to do with whatever comes my way, right? Gets the Shyvana and immediately says, okay, Shyvana, trainer, Corki, mages, something like that, right? And goes from there and is able to start to build items around it, start to come up with a game plan, right? Fast 8, going 8 at 4-5 to be able to slot that mage in to help solve his frontline problem. Itemizing around the Shyvana, looking at, you know, Corki or Zoe or, you know, the mage sort of carries as, okay, we can start to itemize around that. And does this very, very quickly and effectively. And this is what separates really sort of like high level players, right, from lower level players, is to be able to take that information, synthesize very, very quickly what's going on and what they need to do next, and then follow through on it. And not even all, you know, not every challenger player really, you know, does that every single time, right? It's very, very easy to get turned around. We watched that 6 that Robin took yesterday where he's like, I'm dizzy. He, you know, he was pulled in 3 different directions and didn't really kind of know what to do with himself. And straight up says, like, I'm dizzy. I just don't. He's basically saying, what the fuck do I do from here, right? And so having the confidence to click Recombobulator at 3-2, and then having the savvy to synthesize the outcome of that choice, that gamble, and go from there to create a successful sort of campaign in this game, really is the mark of a very, very skilled player. And this is a player who was having a really rough day up to this point. Part of why I wanted to watch this game was, okay, how does Bert bounce back? You're having kind of a rough day, and your tournament is on the line. And, you know, it's very much 1st or 8th time. And clicking Recombobulator at 3-2 is a very 1st or 8th move. But you have to feel like this game, right? The way that this game is going and how well he's playing it probably builds up a lot of confidence, right? You're like, okay, I know that feeling of like, I've gone 6, 7, 7, and then I pull out even just a top 4, or I pull out a top 2, and I'm like, okay, I still know how to play this video game, right? I'm just having a bad streak. It's okay. Bad streaks are not permanent. It doesn't, you know, you can bounce back. And so a move like this, yeah, a ballsy move like this, you're exactly right, that pays off in this way must be so confidence-giving. Especially in this really, really high pressure setting. Because you don't want some asshole in the internet like me going and watching your VOD and being like, see, here's the moment Bert blows it, right? You want something very, very different from that, I would imagine. You want your choices to make people go, oh shit, Bert's a genius. And I think with the spot that he was in the tournament, and looking at those options, I think what a just inspired choice, right? To click Recombobulator and see what happened, and trust that you're going to be able to play around to whatever that outcome is. He's also getting that meditation value from his first augment reroll. Right now he's got Zoe with no items. Namzi counts as having no items, so they're both generating additional mana every second, which you definitely want in your Zoe. You definitely want Namzi to be casting early and often. Applying that anti-heal. You have 3 trainer in. You got trainer in early enough that you're going to have a very powerful Namzi later. Watch this Namzi ult and see what kind of damage it does across this entire Jade board. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, that's half of HP bars chunked. And then Zoe, here, clearing out some of that with a double Lux cast. And Shyvana now in the back line, able to put even more damage on. All of those ults really kind of synergized really nicely at the same time. And although those frontline units are gone, this is a pretty close fight here. It's that Soraka healing with the Archangels that's probably going to be the big difference maker here. DQA sort of wisely putting that on this unit. So now every unit that gets hit by one of the stars is healed for 600 each. Usually it's like 120, but with Archangels adding that that AP every 4 seconds, that Archangel Soraka absolutely saves that round. Unfortunate for Bert, but a really good sort of combination. Obviously, if Zoe had been Zoe 2, if Shyvana had been Shyvana 2, that fight goes very, very differently. But it's only 5-2. These units, you know, the Zoe does not have any items on. They're going to be pretty weak and still managed, you know, in combination with the 3 between Namzi, Zoe, and Shyvana, pretty much one shot about half the board from that point. Shyvana still not benefiting from any sort of shapeshifter bonus, makes her significantly weaker because she is not as tanky a unit in the back line. She can't take as much damage before she goes down, and I think that's probably hurting him quite a bit in some of these fights, not having that shapeshifter bonus. So now here we are, like this recombobulator really kind of like gave you a lot of direction, but Bert's items are not very good. 4 gloves, 3 belts. Not a great spot to be in items-wise. He's tried really hard to focus the choices that he's made around good Shyvana items, right? Jeweled Gauntlet, Giant Slayer, Hodge is okay as a healing item. It's nice because it means 1 less auto for Shyvana to cast. Shyvana gets shrouded here. That's really bad. That Hodge might be enough for, yep, that one auto attack from the Hodge tier is enough to get her to cast, and now she's healing up a little bit off of that cast. Your Shyvana not casting is like the worst feeling in the world. Namzi's going to blow up this unit. Again, Soraka's out here kind of sustaining. I don't know that Soraka 1 can keep this team together, especially in OT. Soraka does not output a lot of damage. So Bird having a mixed results, but definitely saving a lot of HP and saving himself a lot of placements just by having the Shyvana with 3 items out there on the board, and giving him some direction to pursue. Thinking about Mage, thinking about I don't think you can't really Mage Shyvana, I don't think. But I don't know. Maybe you can. What does Mage Shyvana look like? You know, he's also going 9 to be able to maximize his odds of two-starring the Shyvana, which is a really big difference maker. But now you're starting to think, okay, I've got Mage Spat. 5 Mage is not off the table. 5 Mage Zoe, very, very strong. Puts you, if you can get to 9, which is a big leap, right? Every time you say I'm going 9, you're making a commitment to losing some HP. As other players roll down, as other players are strengthening their boards, trying to fight for placements, and you're not. Your board stays the same, while other people's boards are getting stronger, so you can econ up. You're gonna eat some damage doing that. So he's at 39 HP at 5/5. And the lobby is pretty close. But DQA here also at 50 gold, clear at 20. There's a lot of gold in the lobby. Lots of people looking to go 9. Maybe he's thinking about this Ao Shin pivot here. Nothing is marrying him necessarily to Shyvana. He's got this Mage cap. Mage Ao Shin. Obviously a very strong unit with that jeweled gauntlet. I think wisely holding onto that unit so that, you know, if he wants to make that pivot, he can. Has the Nika 1 on the bench as well to be able to slot in and give that, that shapeshifter bonus. Again, Shyvana Shrouded. Here is an Asol, double Archangels Asol. That's going to be really dangerous for this Shyvana, but she is able to cast. Doesn't have a lot of HP when she lands. Bouncy castled a little bit by Zoe and the Janna ult, but able to survive, at least up to this point. Shrouded again by Mana Reeve, doing a lot of work. Probably going to lose this fight, but well, no, she gets one more. She's able to survive that Ao Shin cast and is able to finish off the Asol before Asol's black hole explosion kills her off. That's a really fortunate win here. This keeps Bert very competitive in the HP race. You know, if you're eating 10 damage right there and you're at 16, you're going to have to make a lot of different decisions. You might have to, like, you know, level here and roll down to strengthen your board for the 6-1 fight because you're on 1 life. But now, still being pretty comfortably on 2 lives, does not have to play that aggressively. Still has a lot of work to do to catch up to the lobby. But you have to feel like, you know, you're in a pretty good spot considering you took Recombobulator, I think. I think you have to feel really comfortable about, you know, a sort of probably top 4 at least finish here. You know, this roll down is going to affect your placements big time. Zoe pair, Shyvana pair. There's the Shyvana 2. Sells that Silas to make the Shyvana 2. Hits Nico 2. Double Zoe. Mage, Corky. Never thought I'd see that day. Zoe 2 in shop. Really good roll down. Really fortunate roll down. Makes his team so much stronger. Gets that shapeshifter in for Shyvana, which is a really big deal. The quality of Bert's stream is not great. So you can't see all the little ticks of Shyvana's HP, but it is significantly higher than it was without that shapeshifter bonus in. Very strong board at this point. Only going to get stronger with the addition of Zoe 2, and you have to feel real confident. Rad to see how unafraid these players are of totally transforming their board at literally any point. Like, if it's better, it's better. They're not intimidated by the complexity. Yeah. Well, and you know, like I said, here's Bert. Bert, you know, is not having the best day of his life of TFT. Does he put in this Vlad 1, I wonder? Or sell Corky for Anivia? Get that evoker bonus. I'm so smart. Locking for the Bard to be able to put this Bard in over this Vladimir 1 shitter. You know, Bert is not having the greatest day of TFT of his life, but he's not having the worst either, you know, but he's definitely in a sort of make or break moment coming into this game. And so it's really interesting to see how, you know, when you're in that situation, right? It's not like ladder where, oh, okay, I take a 5th. Oh, okay, I take a 6th. I lose 10, 20 LP or something like that. You know, your tournament is on the line. Your entire set 7 is on the line. And so you have to play like there's no tomorrow, because in this case, if you don't, there isn't. Your set is over. Might as well go play Valorant for, you know, another month. Ooh, it's spicy. Ooh, these are not usually that spicy, but this one is spicy. I like it. Caught me off guard. Woo! Mm. I like it. Sorry. That is a beefy Ao Shin too. Can this smarter Shyvana target the right unit? It's close. If this thing casts again, it's close. Thankfully, the damage seems spread out enough that he's able to survive with quite a few units. Dish out a lot of damage. I have to wonder if he would put... I would imagine he would put Sona in over Anivia if he were able to find one. Being able to CC the whole board twice in a row, pretty big deal. That I took that bite of that roasted jalapeno, and I can feel my intestines going, alert, mayday, hello, help, the fuck. I'm gonna feel that one tomorrow. Not a bad loss here. But it does, it does put you in top 3 position instead of top 2. You wins that fight, you guarantee top 2, I think, from that spot. Finds the Sona, puts it in. He's thinking about 3 Mystic rather than, because can put in this this Nami and run 3 Mystic and Mage the Bard or something like that. Decides to keep the Sona, at least for the moment. Looking at this board, thinking, what's it going to be? I think the Sona double CC is just probably too valuable. And the value of Mystic here is not significant enough. I mean, Anivia does MR Shred anyway, so what value are you really getting from it? Shyvana at almost full HP, landing right as the double stun from Zoe comes out. This one's looking pretty in the bag. Sona should get another double cast. And Shyvana should be able to wrap this backline up pretty handily. That looks to be the end of DQA's game. Bard pair, another ice cream cone, pretty good to give Shyvana that extra AP. Decides 3 Mystic is the play against Amde's board. Or Amde. I know the Twitch is AMDEEEE, so that makes me think it's Amde. I don't know. Maybe they'll show up one day and tell me. Bard 2, not bad. Thinking about replacing Trist. Pulls the Trist out, losing some of that that Namzi power, but getting a TG Yasuo in, not bad. Mystic definitely helpful against this this Ao Shin unit. Unfortunately, Nico copying the Lulu. It's really going to come down to whether the Shyvana can kill this Ao Shin quickly or not. Ao Shin gets the cast off. There goes a lot of the board, but not Shyvana. If Shyvana ults to the right, they're in some real trouble. But this one looks to be pretty much wrapped up, right? Yeah, if it can get another cast off, you're screwed, but it does not. Able to secure the first. And it's really on the back of that really gutsy play. What a phenomenal turnaround game from Bert. You really have to think about if this was a ranked game you were playing. And you're like, I already have a dragon. I can play Shio from here. Like, I've got trainers. I could play Siphon from here. Like, this Shio is kind of a hold me over sort of unit. And here's Bert, who's got to play sort of first or eighth to keep his tournament hopes alive, and says, fuck it. Let's see what happens. And it pays off. It leads to a first place, hitting that Shyvana early, giving him a lot of like really clear direction in terms of what items he wants to build, and what comp he's sort of building to. And even though Shyvana 1 is not like with no shapeshifter, is not an insta win, oh my god, it's such a powerful 10 cost dragon or whatever, gives clear direction and guidance, allows them to stay in the game, and make very informed decisions about econing, going 9, hitting these core units, getting the Shyvana 2, getting a Nico in there, and winning the game. And it absolutely sort of saves his tournament, and I think must have been just a massive confidence booster after a string of less than confidence building games. If we go and look, this is Bert ends first. But in the previous lobby, he went 7th, 6th. You can't feel very, very good about that. Here we're looking at this is 4th, right? 4th, 6th, 7th, 6th. That's your first 4 out of 6 games. And so Bert is really in this spot where, if he'd gone second there and lost a point, he might not even make the cut. He had to go 1-1 in these final 2 games to guarantee his spot, and that's exactly what he did. And you have to imagine sitting there realizing like your tournament is on the line and you can't go second. You might not make the cut if you go second. You might not make the cut if you go first, but you definitely have to go first. And being able to pull off back-to-back 1-1 is absolutely absurd. And it's that kind of like fearless, motivated play that is just, it's just really fucking exceptional. So yeah, what a fun game to watch. I'm really, really glad that that's the one that we watched. You can start to see why he might feel a lot more confident turning it around, maybe a lot more confident going into day 3. I would not be surprised if that confidence at execution really sort of like pays off, and we see that tomorrow. The second game I want to watch is Kurumx. I really like Kurum. I just can't lose. Yeah, I just cannot lose, and so he does it, which is, going back-to-back first in plat is hard. Going back-to-back first in gold is hard. Going back-to-back first against the top, some of the top players in your region, is mind-blowing, right? Like, I'd be lucky not to go 9th in these lobbies. So being able to go first is a really, 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 really strong showing. It really goes to show like how strong your mental has to be to play in these lobbies, and to play at this level. Keep it together, have a game plan, and know when to stick to it and know when to walk away from it, right? I don't really think he had very clear direction with items, 3 gloves. So that Recombobulator is a fuck it, right? It is a very first or 8 play. Like it's a YOLO play, with bad items, with a sort of flimsy, Trist, Heimer pair, and a Dragon in a Dream. Turns it into a first place. 9th, they make up a new low just for you. Yeah. I am, I queue as spectator, and still go 9th. I'm going to run in. I made a little bit of coffee. I'm going to run and go get a cup, and we'll watch this game. I'll give you a little bit of background on it as well before we get into it. All right, so before we get into this game, I'm on the wrong screen. Kurum, I think also sort of having an interesting day. I think Kurum is. It's really interesting to watch Kurum in tournaments because he has this sort of, I think, pretty pessimistic outlook at times on his game and how it's going, and I think his mental sometimes gets the better of him, but not at the same time. I think he's a lot like me, where he has this sort of like first or 8th mentality. Not that he plays that way, but it's like if you're not first, you're last, right? There are games, I watched him play a game today where he took 2nd and was kind of like downbeat about it and a little frustrated because first, it's so close. And this game, when I was watching it, I thought it was really interesting because, as I said earlier, there were a lot of Deja clickers today, and Deja was not a very tremendously successful comp today because there were so many Deja clickers today. And in this game, Kurumx gets a really strong Deja opener in a lobby where Milk and Soju have been clicking every single fucking Deja they possibly can. So when you get a strong opener for a comp you know is going to be contested, you have decisions to make. And I think Kurumx winds up putting together a really interesting game. And it's not the strongest game he's ever played, but I think some of the decisions that he makes and when and how he makes them, take a 6th place and turn it into a significantly higher placement. And as we know, 1 or 2 placements can be enough to end your day. Kurumx ended at 31 points. And again, the cutoff was 28-29. So this game and the choices he makes in it, I genuinely think might have been enough to save his day. Now, obviously, it doesn't count for the games he's going to have to play later, but the placements he saves here are a real difference maker for his tournament. So let's get to it. I don't think he plays music. No, he only plays music. Kurumx is constantly playing music. That's DMCA. So we will mute him. Goes for the bow, misses it. Pulls out the cloak. I can't remember if this is the right game that I'm thinking of. I think it is. He plays the jams. He does play the jams. I think I went and found the right game, but I don't remember there being a pause. I might have missed it. I might have been looking at a different screen. I was watching 4 games simultaneously today, so forgive me. I think Cloak Opener is probably, for me, one of the worst starts that you can get. There's only a few real slammable items that come out of it. Spark, Titans, or a Gargoyle Stoneplate is not bad. Genuinely Wild Galaxy Brain shit. What is? You really hope to get gold here. Senna Sedge. But you have these pairs. You really, really hope to get 6 gold. Watching for it once. He decides to hold the Senna pair. Pays off. He hits the Senna 2 here. Watching for it once. I mean, thankfully, there's only 2 lobbies. So I'm watching, one monitor was the same lobby from 2 different perspectives. And then the other monitor was the second lobby from 2 different perspectives. So I could kind of watch what was going on across the entire lobby. As both players are kind of scouting around and making decisions, I can kind of get a better shape of the whole board. Which is cool, which is an interesting way of watching the game. So he gets this Nunu here. He has Spark, which is a really good Nunu item. When you have a unit that does big burst magic damage. Shredding MR is very strong. Attaching MR to a burst magic damage user, not bad. Takes better together here, which is a clear sign to me that he's thinking about playing that Cavalier comp because you have a lot of frontline, right? You can, but they charge, right? Cavaliers charge forward. So you can backline your entire board, right? You can backline Nunu, Lulu, Deja, Sedge, Hecarim, all of these units. Get them, a bunch of them in this locket, give them that shield at the beginning, and they're still frontline units. They charge right up, and you still have a great frontline, like so. You can see this big chunky shield on these units. So here he has this this really pretty solid, right? Very solid Mirage Deja opener. He has Nunu, he has Spark. You know, he's got this Leona. He's got this augment, an item that work really, really well for this comp. He's got a slammable item that works really well for this comp and neutralizes that that cloak that he started with. You know, now he's got Leona 2. He's got Sejuani pair. He is in really, really, really good shape to play Deja. But the problem is, and this is, you know, when you're playing on ladder in silver or gold or plat or whatever, you're not necessarily recognizing all the names and faces in your games, right? Because there's tens, hundreds of thousands of players in those divisions. Here, these players all know each other. They know how each other play. They watch each other's streams. They talk to each other. Milk has played exclusively Deja, I think, in this tournament. You know, if the spell sword is good, Soju's going to force it too. If the Mirage is good, like Dawnbringer or Spell Sword, you know that there's going to be a couple of people who force this comp. So when you're sitting here playing the perfect Deja opener in a lobby that you know is full of people who will hard force and contest you for this unit no matter what do you do? What do you do? Because if you high roll, you're going second or third, maybe even first. Deja is really, really strong when you high roll it. But if you miss, you are going 8th. You're going 7th. You're going to have a really, really hard day. That's what happened with Soju. He kept forcing this comp and kept low rolling it. And he finished the day at the bottom of the leaderboard. Couldn't resist. If you remember from my stream the other day with the sticky note, don't click Deja, you ignoramus, is the advice I give myself, because there's, in every lobby, you're going to find, if there's a halfway decent Mirage, you're going to find 2 or 3 Deja clickers. Let them hold hands bot 4. It's going to, if you're in a Deja lobby with Deja clickers and you do not attempt to click Deja, you're probably going to top 4, because you know, 2 of those players are going to go 6th and 7th and 8th, you know, maybe 8th. Having too many Deja players in a lobby basically gives you free LP. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard when you have an opener like this. You know, he's picking up this Twitch. He's holding these this Tarek pair. You have to think that maybe he's thinking about pivoting into Shio Yu. Shio Yu doesn't really benefit from Spark, but Anivia does with her magic damage, although she gives you MR Shred with her magic damage, so not great. If you're pivoting into mages, right, having MR Shred can be really, really good as well. So there's outs, right? He's thinking about these outs. Could move into something different. So he levels here. 2 Guardian, 2 Mirage, 2 Cav. Takes the Senna out, puts the Senna in. I think Senna 2 is probably better than Twitch 1. And by probably, I mean 100% of the time is better. It's a little late for Olaf, but he's got this Olaf and Tom Kench pair in the shop. Realizes, yeah, I'm never playing Twitch. I don't know how I fit Twitch in. Let's just sell it now. If I win, I make 10. If I don't, I can sell off, you know, maybe the Sejuani or one of these Tareks. I think he'd probably rather sell one of the Tarek pair than the Sedge pair from this spot, but looks like he's got this one wrapped up, so he will not have to worry about it. Ending Milk's streak. Silas. In shop is certainly a hard combination to resist, but when you're sitting here trying to make 20, you know, that's 6 gold. That is burning a hole in your pocket. Maybe if you'd had that, obviously if you had Silas 1 already, completing that Silas 2 is a really big deal, but holding on to Silas pair is a lot of money that you can't afford. It's just too expensive to hold on to at this point. So here you have a sort of a Varys comp in the works from Soju with combat. Soju playing from behind, as he prefers to do, it seems, lost streaking into neutrals at 58 HP and probably saying, it's fine, it's fine, last loss. Spoiler, it was not. Hits the Sedge. Sona is interesting here. Yone is interesting here. Again, like, you really have to be thinking about, can I go Deja right now? One of the Deja clickers is clearly going, seems to very clearly be going Varys from the 3 Astral Silas board that they just fought, but I mean, I think at this point, I would definitely be hard forcing Deja. That would be my play. I'd be like, look, if you contest me on this, you're a griefer. But it's a tournament, right? People got to play their best boards. People got to put their best foot forward and all that sort of stuff. Does he sell the Braum pair? Nope. He sells the Lulu and one of the Brahms. Sword Bow Glove. Very AD heavy. Giant Slayer. Could be Rage Blade. Could be Rage Blade Crit Glove. I can't remember what the Mirage was on this particular thing. I think it's Spell Sword, which is a very, very, very strong variant for Mirage. He does the 3-1 level here. Getting that Braum frontline in. Slams GS. Against this, he sees this this Siphon. Decides to slam GS to get a little more damage. Sees this set 2 with Warmogs. Immediately gets the value of that Giant Slayer. Does additional damage if the unit being targeted has more than 2,000 HP. Unfortunately, he's not really able to get that fire kind of concentrated on this Siphon. So he levels up here, but still loses. Just sort of unlucky. How it all worked out. Did a lot of damage, still 3 unit loss. Not the greatest augment choices. Stand United is probably the strongest still. CB is less than a Hodge in terms of healing. Doesn't really need the shielding because he already has this locket value. With Better Together and the aura items doing additional sort of work. Goes with Stand United. Recently nerfed because Stand United 1 was probably the most busted augment in the game. And so they dropped the AD pretty considerably, the AD bonus. But the AP bonus is still pretty strong. And if you're playing Deja, 2 AP per trait, that's another 10 AP. That adds up to a lot of damage. Sells the Yone here. Is deciding like, no, I don't know necessarily if Yone Deja is for me. I feel like, for me, if I was seeing this many Siphons, right? If I was seeing now back-to-back Siphons in the lobby, I might be thinking that Deja is a pretty secure bet. Here, this fight goes a lot closer to how he wanted the last fight to go. Being able to take out that Siphon unit with a lot of damage from this Senna 2 with Giant Slayer. Pulling the Braum off the front line, letting the Cavs charge up, and then letting these other units walk up slowly actually baits the Siphon ult to go sideways instead of back right towards the Senna like happened in the first fight. So that's a neat sort of adjustment to manipulate the fight RNG a little bit, get a more favorable outcome, and it pays off. This board, Bramble, Sunfire, Tom Kench, pretty strong. The addition of the Twitch with their armor penetration on the ult, paying off quite a bit here as well. Not to mention that Giant Slayer Slam, able to shred right through that pretty sturdy front line and get into those backline units pretty quickly. Cannoneers really come online with strong frontline and itemized Corki, right? That strong frontline stalling long enough for Corki with Rageblade really to kind of ramp up and start bursting down units. So if you can shred through that frontline quickly, especially a mid-game Cannoneer board really doesn't have a chance. So you're looking at Kurum's board and you're like, wow, is he ever going to find Deja? He misses the rod here. I think if he was able to hit the rod, he's almost certainly forcing Deja. But unfortunately, he misses that rod by like 2 pixels. And now slams the TG instead. You have to think that, he'd maybe be thinking about slamming Rageblade later. He hasn't got a bow, or he's got 1 bow this game. But you have to think that that 1 carousel, right, having to grab the glove rather than the rod probably affects a lot of the decisions that he makes going forward here. Slamming that TG rather than having half a Rageblade is kind of a big deal in terms of running Deja Spell Sword, because you really want that unit to attack often to build up their AP so that their cast is a big splody boy. So it also could have just been trying to get that rod to make Crit Glove. Crit Glove, Giant Slayer, plus like BT or Hextech with Spell Sword Deja means that you're healing a lot, you're dealing a lot of damage. You put that Lulu in for that attack speed, and it really ramps Deja up enough to get those sort of 1 cast spell waves. So missing that rod there, a pretty big deal. This board is starting to look, it was very, very strong sort of early game board, but you can start to see how not hitting Nunus, not really hitting very many playable units at all. I mean, this is, level 6 shop that is 3-1 costs and 2-2 costs. Really just kind of whiffing on these higher level units. Here's Soju with Nami 3, the Rageblade, Runins, Varus online. And you have to really start being a little worried about, especially if you lose here and you lose that 4 streak going into neutrals, it kind of puts you out quite a bit. If you can't eliminate this Varus in time, he's going to have a bad stage 3-6, which is really not what you want to do. It looks like he should be able to finish it off. 90 HP, streaking into neutrals, but still very sort of directionless. Triss, Lulu. It's a little late to be putting Trainer in, but you have to be thinking about, okay, what am I doing from here? Looking around, saying, okay, there's a Deja, Siphon. Lots of people still missing dragons. There's a guy, holding Deja. Pocky's holding Deja on bench. Am I going to be able to hit this unit? Am I going to be able to find this unit? Am I going to have good enough items for this unit when I do find them? Levels to 7. Rolls down. Starts looking. What can I find? What can I find? Twitch 2. Shen. And a lot of Siluses and Volleys. Like, what's going on here, right? What are these shops? Definitely not finding what he's looking for. Finding a lot of what he's not looking for, unfortunately. Can't find Nunu 2. Here is Deja 2. Milk rolled down and hit all of the Dejas in the pool. Deja, one of those extremely elusive units that only seems to show up when you don't need them. Milk, who has been hard forcing Deja the whole tournament, rolls down, manages to hit Deja 2, and you have to start having real serious concerns about, okay, what is my game? What does my stage 4 look like? I'm at 90 HP now, but I could just as easily be at 30 at the end of the stage if I don't hit units and hit them now. So you see he's got the Silas, he's got the Shen pair, he's thinking about making it. He's trying to hit gold, maybe thinking about going 8 and getting some direction from there. Loses, but not badly. Rerolls from cybernetic implants and Cav spat. When you get, Cav heart, when you're thinking about running Deja and it's like, wow, I can go 5 Cavs and only play 4. It's not the same as having Cav Yasuo, which is a really, really strong unit, right? Not balanced at all. But passing up on this basically says, okay, I'm not playing Deja. Deja 2 is already out. I'm not going to find this unit. Rerolls the augment, and I think gets far worse augment choices overall. Takes Guardian Heart. Fuck it. Running 4 Guardian. There is a really interesting 4 Guardian Yone reroll, but you have to get that online 30 years ago. Takes this Corki and decides, okay, fuck it. Guardian Corki is a perfectly viable comp. If I'm not finding Deja, I'm not finding Deja. So then what? Doesn't know who to slam locket on. Decides to frontline the locket. Now that early augment choice that really benefits Deja maybe is losing a little bit of value. Oof, indeed, right? Like, yeah, but these decisions have to be made, right? Here it is, 4-2. Your mid-game board has not, or your early to mid-game board has not really given you any direction into a late-game board. You're going to have a really hard time hitting the carry that you were counting on. 3 of them are already out of the pool, and you have to make decisions right now about what your game is going to look like in the future and how you're going to get out of here. Sees the Pike Talon, and this starts to give him direction. He can run Thresh, right? And have 2 Guardian guaranteed. So cool. Now we're thinking about Whispers, right? What would totally make me throw my hands up and go whelp? Yeah, right? Okay, so here I am. I'm fucked. What am I going to do? Okay, here's Pike. I've got Guardian. I've got a Thresh. Whispers are an option. So take this Talon. Move these Corki items onto Talon. Talon benefits from them quite a bit as well. I've already got Twitch 2. Now I'm at 3 guild, right? I've got this Sejuani that I was building for Deja. I've got this Twitch that I was building for that armor shred. Now I've got a Talon. And I'm strong enough. I'm healthy enough, right? He was at 90 HP. Now he's at 70 after 2 losses at 4-1 and 4-3. He's still at 70 HP. He has a little bit of HP to trade while he sort of buys time, right? To go 8 and make a stronger board. He's got these 80 items to sort of play around. He's got a sword on Talon. He's got a sword on the bench. He's probably thinking Crit Glove. He might be thinking Edge of Night. Zeke's is an aura item that he gets added benefit from. He might be thinking about slamming Zeke's with that second rod. Or second sword, excuse me. Does go for that belt. Zeke slam, I think, on this Thresh or this Twitch or something like that, to give his units a little bit of extra attack speed. He finds this Itis. Yone is a little late for Yone. Is thinking about maybe slotting in this Itis. Does checks the Itis item. Says no, maybe that's not for me. Grabs the siphon, sees the Ao Shin, doesn't get the Ao Shin in time. Sells the Itis, puts that Zeke's, slams the Zeke's for his transition later. Now you're starting to think, okay, Ao Shin, Not exactly the best items for it, but really you're just trying to find like, okay, how can I save my game? What is a strong unit that I can play around that is going to keep me involved in the video game? I was planning on playing Deja. I'm no longer planning on playing Deja. I got bad items for Deja. I got bad units for Deja. I'm still sitting here at 4-5. I've had new 1 since 2-1 or since like 1-3. What am I doing? Another Talon. Now Shin wants to keep his options open, right? So, okay. Is this Nunu doing anything for me? No, not really. Slot in this this pike to get whisper value on him and my Thresh. Put this Ao Shin in here. Hope that it can get some casts off and save a little bit of HP. Unfortunately, gets Thresh hooked and then Sonatude. This Ao Shin should be able to cast. We'll see if it can actually do enough damage to save him a bunch of HP here. Unfortunately, it is not really able to kill more than 1 unit from that cast. That's the problem with Ao Shin. If it casts too early, the bolts are spread around too far, and you never kill any units, especially Ao Shin 1. So you want it to cast at a certain time, right? When enough units have cleared out, that Ao Shin can really distribute those bolts to fewer units and do more damage to the remainder. Unfortunately, does not have really much damage other than the Ao Shin, so he's going to really find it difficult for Ao Shin 1 with 1 item to finish off units. Probably thinking about this Giants or Sunfire to get some anti-heal. Does not have any anti-heal at the moment. Rageblade double GS. I've seen worse, right? Decides that he needs to roll it down. His board is not strong enough, not stable enough, needs to be looking for upgrades or a better direction. Finally sees the Deja level 8, 4-7, way too late for that. Deja 1, not going to do it for you at this point. Finds this Hecarim, gets himself a little bit of a better front line. Rolling, still kind of missing. Finds this this Ao Shin pair. Double Zeeks. Titans, Rageblade, Giant Slayer, Ao Shin 1. Not a very strong board. Does not exactly inspire confidence, right? Only has 3 Tempest. The difference between 2 and 3 Tempest is actually, or 2 and 4 Tempest is really big. The attack speed increase. In particular, Ao Shin gets a much more significant attack speed increase at 4, meaning that they cast earlier and more often. Here in this case, though, able to get a second cast off and should be able to kill this this Varus as all the bolts land on it. Poor Soju. Very close. Surely he locks for this Ao Shin pair. He does, picks it up. So this the reason I wanted to watch this game is because here we are, right? It's 5-2. He took augments looking for Deja, has this great Deja opener, right? Nunu Lulu, this augment that gives him a pretty strong reinforcement for his front and backline units, right? Getting them all of this sort of like aura, this shield. And realizes pretty quickly that it's just not going to happen. He's not going to be able to make it work. Here's Milk with the Deja 2. And has the HP to make this change, right? But sacrifices a lot of HP. And, each of these sort of losses, these bad losses, really affect how he has to play this stage, what placements he can play for, right? He went from 70 HP to 26 that quickly. In one stage, he's traded 50 HP away, trying to find some direction for his board. econing up to go 8, and crossing his fingers that he's able to hit some strong units and pivot out. Finds the Zhao Xin, starts to put, suboptimal items on. Finds this this Lee Sin pair that can get him to 4 Tempest. You have to wonder, is Pike 1 worse than Lee Sin? And unfortunately, I think yes. The answer is yes. You really want to get this this front line, right? You really want to get this strong front line. He decides to keep the Pike in over the Silas, trying to figure out how to sort of like keep Whisper. Hi, cutie pie. Keep Whisper in on his board. Saves a lot of HP here, killing those units. Only a 3 unit loss there. But still, right now he's at 15 HP. It's really, really, really close. Every single fight matters. Every item that he gets here off Carousel matters. Every unit that he kills or doesn't kill really, really matters. But if you look at the lobby, right, if you really take a gander at the lobby, it's very, very close. Pocky, you can't really see because of my camera, is at 44 HP. 32, 28, 22, 21, 21. Soju is already out at 8th. But, there's a couple units difference, right? Casper can take a really nasty loss. Milk can take a really nasty loss. And that 15 HP puts him in a position to be 3rd or 4th place, right? But if he takes a really nasty loss, he's out. So, really has to sweat his positioning. He has to think really hard about his itemization. He's got to be very, very conscientious about how he's going to play the rest of this game. Little decisions are really, really starting to matter here as he navigates this pivot. Hi, kitty boy. Hi, kitty boy. I love you, sweetie pie. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Really, he has to desperately hope that he can hit this Ao Shin 2. Ao Shin 2 is the only way he really stays in this game, I think. He's got this Braum. He's got really, really unupgraded front line. Hecarim 1, Sejuani 2, Lee Sin 1. You really have to kind of hope for like Ornn 2, Silas to really get this comp off the ground. Is it worth selling for Lee Sin 2? Maybe, right? Decides I've got this Pike 2. I'm going to put this Talon in. I've got this Lee Sin 2. I've got 4 Tempest. I'm going to do the best I can from this spot, right? And hope. Again, gets Thresh hooked. He's very busy sort of like thinking about certain kinds of decisions that he has to make. Isn't necessarily scouting the lobby as closely as he could be, unfortunately. But is able to get a big enough cast off to barely save. Luckily for him, he was fighting a clone. And if you don't know, clones are weaker. A lot of times clones do not get the benefit of augments or traits of the cloned board. So here he's fighting this Corky board that probably doesn't have Revel in or doesn't have Guardian working. So fighting a clone here absolutely saves him probably a placement. It keeps him from going out of the game. I'm pretty sure that if he'd fought that stacked ass Corky board, the real one and not the clone one, he'd be having a bad day and would be lamenting his 6th or 7th. But now you can see like 15, 13, 12, 11. Like this lobby is extremely close. Extremely close. He could fight Pocky or he could fight Shocky. Really sort of on a wing and a prayer here. Is there a rule to it? It seems to be bugged. It seems that, or maybe it's intended. Maybe it's intended that clones just don't have augments active. No one has really confirmed for sure. Like, yeah, clones do not get the benefit of augments. But it seems that way. They are demonstrably weaker. Here, it's kind of unfortunate that he's got to fight Pocky, who's got this really strong Zaya board. Zoe 2, Zaya with Draven's Axe. is able to kill the Zaya with the cast, and if he can get one more cast off here, he's not going to take a terrible loss. Is able to kill those units and stay in. Like I said, every single fight that he wins here potentially is a placement, right? One of these players dies, and they're in really, really, really bad shape. And now, living here, his 15, as Robin has taken damage, as Milk has taken damage, right? The lobby grows closer and closer. Each fight that he wins here, even not that bad of a loss, helps him save placements. 3 AP or 2 AP item plus anti-heal is a really strong sort of Rift Herald for him. Having that Morello for the anti-heal probably on his Hecarim, especially if he can 2-star it and guarantee that cast. Obviously AP an aura item when he has Better Together is really, really good. There's the Aoshin too. He's got to give up a lot of options for it, right? He has to sell off pretty much everything on his bench to be able to afford this, but it's a really, really, really big hit. And it's just kind of thinking about, okay, what do I sell? What do I keep? You got to make a decision. He sells the Silas pair, tries to get its positioning right, needs to slam these items to get them on in time. Does. Now he's fighting Milk. This is a really strong looking Deja board, but he's got that Aoshin 2 casting with only a handful of units left on the board and is able to secure it. Again, Aoshin 2 makes a huge difference. Getting 4 Tempest Aoshin 2 online, even though he's hodgepodged this board together, he is on a 3 streak at 15 HP, and people are starting to fall out of the lobby. DarthNub is at 2 HP. Milk is now at 7. Robin is at 17, and he is sitting, quote unquote, comfortably at that 15. But one bad fight, right? One bad positioning issue or error can really affect this game. But he's pretty much guaranteed a top 4 sort of position here, because if Milk or DarthNub lose, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to lose by more than he could possibly lose, even at the worst, right? He's probably not taking 25-30 damage from a fight. So here's DarthNub. He hasn't fought him in a while. This is the Xiaoyu board, which counters him pretty hard with all of these Mystics in. It had to happen eventually that he was going to fight this board, but he is clearing off. This Pike is doing a lot of work to kind of clear off a lot of these units so that this Aoshin can get a lot of value from the ult. Now with the increased attack speed from 4 Tempest, he's able to ult twice and knock DarthNub out. Really just smart play, right? Just a phenomenal pivot pretty early on, right? Doesn't know where he's pivoting to, but knows he's got to get out of Deja. And what does that look like? Sees these units, starts playing the strongest board that he can moment to moment until he gets direction. Hits this Aoshin, doesn't have the best items, right? Doesn't have the best items to put on this, doesn't have spell crit, but is actually able to use his augment to his advantage, right? Builds double Zeeks, gets a lucky ice cream cone. Now he's hit this Ornn pair, and now you start to think like, wow, I went from having no idea what the fuck I was going to do to potentially winning this lobby or top 2ing. That is a Soraka 3. So the game comes to a conclusion. Thankfully, Kurumx fights the Soraka 3 before. Pocky is at full health. He's able to beat Robin, but it looks like he is going to get... No, he's able to beat Pocky as well, but this is a top 2 game for sure. Soraka 3 is kind of a win con.
I am dreaming, but I am still awake. Follow the wind to warmer pastures.
Thinking about making this... this finishes the Hecarim 2. Really, of course, you're just playing for top 2 here. Because Pocky, no matter what, is pretty much unbeatable. Will always, as long as that Soraka casts, will gain 75 HP per turn. It is an FF angle once you see that unit on the board. Has this Ornn 2. Is thinking about maybe not making it until later. Sometimes people will be a little tricksy like that. Keeps the Lee Sin in for a little bit of that CC value. Sells off the Hecarim actually for this Ornn, and then Morello's the Ornn. Robin is out, and so now he just has to take a not bad loss, which seems to be the case. Secures top 2, comes back on cam. Look at his face. Look at the relief. Look at the excitement. Turning this game into a top 2 from the direction that he was given at the start to knowing the lobby, to knowing his spot, whiffing Deja, whiffing Nunu 2, knowing he has to get out of it. Titan's Rageblade saved the fight. Yeah, it saved a couple of fights as he's been able to get more than enough auto attacks in to finish off that like Itis, that's at like 2 HP, right? Ao Shen, not a very AD heavy hero champion or whatever, but is able to finish off a few of these fights with that Rageblade advantage. Then you can see the Soraka 3 instantly melts his board. That was never going to... Everybody was playing for second, obviously. But, this is the final game of the day. I think that Kurumx played. And again, if I'm... maybe it's the final game of this particular stream. I think he might have had to drop it or something. I don't know. I don't know. But if we're looking at this... No, I was thinking of it. This was a different game. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Point is... here's Kurumx, going 2-2 at the end of the day to save the set, right? To move on to day 3. Again, when those, he had a very similar game, which is the one I thought we were watching, but it doesn't really matter. That was a really fun game to watch. He had a very similar game where he was presented with the exact same situation. But the second I saw Soju was playing Varus, I was like, wait, this isn't the right game. But we're at 3-2 now, so fuck it. He had a very similar game earlier, and I think he learned his lesson, right? He had gone, he went 4th, trying to play Deja, contested, having a hard time, having to pivot out of it too late. So now here in the final lobby, he makes that decision way earlier, sees that like Milk has Deja too, says, we're not doing this again, pivots out of Deja almost instantly, right? Starts to really reconsider what his board is going to look like a stage from now. Without Deja on it, hits that pike, and starts to say, okay, yeah, hits that Ao Shin and starts to say, okay, that's real direction giving. And this is why, sometimes those item slams, right? He slammed GS on Senna 2, right? Very, very early on. And it was valuable all throughout the entire game. Like that entire, the second he saw Siphon, right, at like 3-1 or 3-2, and slammed the GS and continued to get value from it the whole game. It's like, oh, there's Siphons, there's Warmogs, GS is going to be good value here, slam it, and it wound up paying off later on in the game, giving that extra 20% boost to the Ao Shin damage, which is, it's not quite as good as Crit Gauntlet, but it'll do the trick, right? And is able to really play intelligently, to not just know the state of the game, right? The state of the lobby that he's in. I have a good Deja opener. Okay, I miss Deja. Okay, I've got to pivot. What can I do from here? But also knowing the players, right? Milk is playing Deja. It's going to be contested. I got this Nunu, but I'm whiffing. I know that if I play contested Deja and I whiff, I'm gonna have to pivot, and it's the best I can do is go 4th. So let's just pivot fucking now. Let's just get out of this right now and go a different direction and see what the game gives me. Open my mind up, right, to what the game is going to give me. And here, when there's this Ao Shin, he says, okay, I'll take that. Ao Shin's a strong unit. I can trade my HP now for a little bit of direction later. And for some econ to go 8, to go 9, to try and hit this unit. And I don't think he ever actually went 9. He had to roll to stabilize his board at 8. Is able to hit Ao Shin uncontested, Ao Shin 2, at level 8, save his game. And, you know, who knows what would happen if there wasn't a fucking Soraka 3 in the lobby for Pocky to end his day. But, you know, that pivot and being able to pull off the second to end the day, right? Absolutely keeps him in the tournament because he was not doing well. That's the thing. I was watching Kurum and I was like, man, Kurum's doing that thing where he's back and forth. He's just not consistent. And I worry for him tomorrow because this is the way that it's been in pretty much every tournament I've watched him play. He gets a little down on himself. He gets a little stressed out. He starts to play pretty inconsistently. And in the end, he doesn't stabilize his mental in time to stabilize his tournament. So you really have to think like he should be coming into tomorrow, hopefully feeling very confident. That was his last game of the day. It secured him his placement. Hopefully he's coming into the tournament tomorrow with that confidence and that smile and saying, you know what, I could do this. I gotta make smart choices. And even if the smart choice doesn't turn out to be the right one, I can pull it off. And if he keeps that in mind, I think he can have a really strong day tomorrow. I hope so. I've been rooting for him for a while. He always sort of like Soju is well known for like crashing and burning in tournaments. And Kurum, who is consistently like hits rank 1 and is top 10 NA, really always sort of performs in the middle of the pack at tournaments. And I just really like the guy. I'm really rooting for him. I hope he has a really good day tomorrow. And kind of gets his name back out there because he's a great streamer. He's really entertaining. He's an incredible player. And tournament is not everything, but hopefully he has a really good tournament and pulls it together. We have 2 more games to watch, but I'm going to take a little bit of break to stretch my legs, and I'm getting a little like tension in my neck. It's been a long day, so I just want to take a little bit of a breather before we get into the next 2 games. DarthNub and Amde both had very, very, very strong days today, and I wanted to watch a couple of their like sort of high roll strong games and see what we could learn from them, because it's just really interesting and fun to watch high level players play at the highest level. So hang tight. We'll be right back for that. All right. Let's get back to it with this this third game from DarthNub. These last 2 games I've not actually watched yet, so it'll be really interesting. I picked them because I know the placement in advance, and that's really kind of it, which is fun for me because it feels like I'm not just sitting here saying, and this is where this happens. I'm like, oh, here's this decision that they make. That's really interesting. Let's pull that apart. Why they might do that. And what we can learn from the decisions that they make. I think that's really important in these VOD reviews. Is not just like what happens and hey, let's look at this play this guy made, but like what can we learn from it? What can we pull out of? What knowledge can we pull out of these high-level decisions that we can apply in our own way to our own games, right? Because you can't take everything that you learn from these games and apply them immediately, right? But you can look at the thing. You can look at the one thing that you see that you go, hey, like that's something I struggle with. Let me study this game. And you watch this player make better decisions than you do. And then you learn from that decision and you start to apply that one thing, right? And that might be enough to move you from gold to plat. And then you start to see other weaknesses in your game, and you watch a VOD, you watch a game where somebody handles that problem, and you learn from that, and you go, oh, okay, let me start practicing that. Because TFT is a game that I think most people have to learn in parts, right? I was excited the first time I hit plat. I was like, wow, like plat, holy shit, like I think I might actually be pretty good at this game, right? And now I think I could go into plat lobbies and just absolutely fucking stomp, right? But it's taken a year, really, to kind of piece together all of those fundamentals and start to get move to the next level at each piece. And as I've gotten into harder lobbies, I've had new challenges, right? And each decision becomes more impactful. And so you have to make more consistently good decisions across the board and apply more and more knowledge, more nuanced knowledge. So with these games, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you, and you got to kind of pick and choose. What works for you? What do you need to work on right now? What is the 1 or 2 things that you can pull out of this analysis that is going to improve your game tomorrow, that you can start practicing tomorrow? The weaknesses that you identify. And maybe you see somebody do something and you go, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that wrong. great. You know, you've identified a weakness in your game that you could start to work on, and that is going to improve your game completely. This is a game that is learned in steps. I think it's really, really hard unless you're, you know, sort of really have a very, very keen mind for this kind of game early on. It's hard to learn it all at once and do it all at once. And I remember the first games of TFT I played, I was getting gold and donkey rolling it. I didn't understand econ. I didn't understand interest. I didn't understand synergies. I didn't understand items. I was just pressing buttons, man. And so then I started reading guides and looking at Reddit and watching streamers and going, I have no idea how to play this video game. I was literally playing a very different video game than the video game actually is. I thought this was a whole different breed. What I was playing was way closer to how you'd play Hyper Roll. But we're talking about set 2, you know. So don't be afraid to take and leave what you need to. Dunning-Kruger, the board game in terms of curve, yeah, and you'll hear all of these high-level players, the really, really elite ones, talking about the weaknesses in their game more than the strengths, right? We're talking about top 5 players who are like, I have in no way, shape, or form perfected my gameplay. I still have a lot of weaknesses to work on. I still have a lot of issues to work out. Maybe it's my ladder play. Maybe it's my tournament play. Maybe it's the variety of my lobbies. Maybe it's not slamming items right. Maybe it's panic rolling at certain times. Maybe it's my mental's not strong if I go on a bad streak. Whatever it is, right? They're constantly looking for ways to improve their game. So if they can do it, if they can look at their games and say, I'm still learning, then there's nothing wrong with you looking at your game and saying, I'm still learning too. All right, let's get to it. I don't know if Noob plays music or not. We can turn. I don't even know if Noob. There's audio for portions of this video has been muted. You hate to see it. Okay, let's get to the lobby loading up here. I'm trying to make sure that I'm playing my own music or 1 versus 0 music, so my VODs don't get muted. So that you can actually like watch these. So this is I think game 3 of this lobby. Oh, they turned their music on. Some K-pop shit. K-pop's great. I actually really like K-pop. A lot of these streamers listen to K-pop when they play, and I'm like, K-pop's pretty good. It's just really fun pop music. It's super produced, super manufactured. You know, you've got these like girl bands that have 11 fucking members in them. I know what this is about, and I'm here for it. Really interesting first shop. Gets Heimer with a tier. Super Junior is now and forever one of my favorite bands. I don't know them. I don't other than like Blackpink and I think Twice is the name of the other big super group or whatever. I don't know any of these K-pop bands. I don't know what their songs are called. I just know that there are a lot of pretty girls singing really well produced pop music. Decides not to take the set, which I think is very different from how many others would play, because if you can hit set 2 early, it's just really strong. Set is such a strong unit early on. Gets a Varus out of an orb drop. Has this Varus and Ezreal combo. Tom Kench pair. There's Senna, Sejuani, Tarek, all in the shop. Those are units I typically like to play, so it's really interesting seeing someone not pick them up. Sells the Vlad pair to pick up the Sedge. Exiles, Electrocharge, and Ragewing. Exiles is probably the strongest augment choice for the whole game, but Electrocharge is very strong early if you've got a really thick front line. Exiles is probably the pick. He might be thinking about re-rolling. Does go Electrocharge. Has this Bruiser front line. Wants to get this Varus in for Swift Shot. Get that frontline damage. He puts the Twitch in to get that guild bonus. He's got Sejuani, Twitch. He's got this Varus. He's got Twitch pair in the shops, Sedge pair in the shop, sitting on TK pair, has this Varus, might be thinking about selling it to pick up this Twitch Sejuani, does exactly that. Am I a genius? Promise I have not watched this game yet. I think that's a strong play. Is able to slam this Hodge here. If you can get this Twitch 2, Sedge 2 early and get that 2 guild bonus in, you've got a really, really strong opener with this Swift Shot. Even now, more than enough to, 3 unit DQA in this fight. Anivia and volley, you might start to think, hey, is this a volley game? You're going to have to spend a lot of gold to hold those units, though, and wait for Ornn before you can get Legend online. But you can see from the wiggle of the mouse cursor that really trying to think, okay, how can I hold this volley without giving up too much? If they're able to win, has this Aatrox Nidalee over here on the side. I think the call is, if I'm able to win this fight, can sell those 2 units off, hold volley Anivia, and that opens up a lot of options for what you might do later. This Electrocharge giving a lot of value in terms of shredding down this Leona too. Does look winnable despite the fact that these units have now crashed down. As with healing, as 2 with healing is certainly going to be able to outpace this this Braum. Sells the Anivia to pick up the Volley Bear. An interesting choice. Maybe is thinking about this Ezreal 3 reroll. Usually that comes with like Karma. So I would doubt it. Aatrox pair. You might be starting to think about 3 Shimmer. 2-3 Olaf. Not a bad time to put this in and start getting stacks on if that's something that you were looking for, but you're probably not playing Sins with Electrocharge. Now sees this very strong board that he might fight. Starting to think maybe, okay, here's some Sins in the lobby. Starts to position for it. Maybe he's thinking about making 10 here if he's able to win. Selling the Volley Aatrox to be able to make 10 at 2-3. Making that 10 at 2-3 milestone is actually a pretty big deal in terms of your econ. So a lot of the decisions that you make early about, okay, I've got these units, but what am I going to do? How do I hold these units and make 10? Is it worth holding on to Volley Anivia, keeping 6 gold on your bench and not making that 10? Or holding on to this Tom Kench Sejuani pair? I think he makes the right call there. Doesn't really have the setup for Volley Bear in this game. It's such a first or eighth sort of play style to play volley. When you hit, you absolutely hit, and you're pretty much guaranteed to win the lobby with the way the comp is. But you really have to have just the perfect combination of items, units, having those units uncontested, 3-starring volley on time before you bleed out too much HP, hitting Ornn. Lots and lots of things have to go right. When they go right, they go really, really right. And we've already seen a couple. We saw the 9 HP volley game from Soju on day 1, where he was able to beat Xayah 3 on the strength of that comp. So, but, something that you really have to kind of have the right combination of everything for. Decides to level here despite taking the loss in the last round to get that Sejuani in, to get that guild bonus. This Ezreal 2 and Twitch 2 is a really, really strong backline. With the Electrocharge, he's able to do sort of supplement his front line by giving them additional damage, which allows his front line effectively to live longer because there are fewer units hitting them when the frontline units die quickly. Is able to kill this Kayn before it can kill the Twitch, which allows the Twitch to get one more spell off. And now half HP Ezreal 2 versus Karma with no items. Ezreal looks to be able to pull this off. That Hodge Slam, again, paying dividends with that little bit of healing, able to keep Ezreal in the fight and secure the win against a pretty strong board. There's no way that this cover is near enough to the original Modest Mouse song to get DCMA'd or DMCA'd, right? There's no possible way. So has this Heimer pair plus Vlad that he probably is not going to hold on to, but would like to, right? If he can win here, he makes 20 and doesn't have to get rid of it. Otherwise, he is going to have to sell off one of these units. Still kind of maybe thinking about playing some sort of Ezreal 3 or being able to keep Ezreal and move that Hodge, remake Ezreal and move it to a different unit. Should be able to pretty handily finish off this fight against this set. They were clumped up, ostensibly, one imagines, for the possibility of fighting Sins, which allows his front line to really make some distance, which allows his Swift Shots to get faster attack speed, because Swift Shots benefit from attack speed the further away they are from their enemy that they're attacking. So that worked out really, really well for him to be able to 4-0 here and go in. Level 5, 20 gold. Now picks up this upgraded Sejuani. Pretty strong board. The Electrocharge paying off. Makes, Electrocharge is a very good early game augment, and that investment in that early game augment, other than that unfortunate loss at 2-3, is serving him pretty well. Still doesn't exactly know, I think, where he's planning on going. Playing around this glove, only having Hodge slammed, hoping probably that these items here give him a little bit of direction. Seems to be playing just strongest board until he figures out kind of where he wants to go from here. Makes 30. Has IE or Edge of Night or Shroud. I think Edge of Night is probably the most versatile item that he can slam here. Now he's looking at this Varus in his shop. Levels up. Puts in this remade Ezreal. Didn't quite 2-star it, but if it's Ezreal 2 with item or Siphon at 3-1 with item, I think you just take the downgrade on the Ezreal and put this item right there. He's going to slam Edge of Night or IE, sort of making up his mind about whether he wants to slam this item just yet. Does go with the IE, making this a 2-item Siphon at 3-1. Very, very, very powerful unit, able to get those big crits on his charge attack. Now he's in the back line, getting that electro shock damage on those backline units, as well as just 2-item high crit Siphon damage. Siphon able to put out 4,000 damage in that fight, which is insane at 3-1. Very, very handily. Takes... thinking about First Aid Kit here, maybe because of the healing from Hodge being pretty weak, but does go for Thieves' Gloves. Thieves' Gloves are just a very, very good item to have because it gives your units 2 items. It's 2 items for the price of 1. Slams it on the Twitch, which is something he's probably planning on selling later. Hextech, Bloodthirster, Twitch, not bad rolls for this sort of upgraded backline Swift Shot unit. Now sort of has the choice. Potentially, if he, not really a choice, I don't think, if he is able to win this fight, he's going to have to sell this Tom Kench and lose the pair to make 30, but totally worth it. You're looking to upgrade to, Silas or even Alawi or some sort of upgraded bruiser unit from TK anyway, at your earliest convenience. So losing the Tom Kench pair at 3-2, not nearly as bad as losing it at, say 2-2. Or 2-1 or something like that. The Siphon now, again, getting a lot of electroshock value, being surrounded by these units that are auto-attacking units, getting that extra damage on, very, very easily able to subdue Soju. 40 gold, 3-3, level 6, with Siphon on the board, 2 items. This is a really strong spot to be in. Sometimes you just hit, right? Sometimes you just get these units right when you need them, and they can help you help give you direction, right? He already had the Hodge, which is an okay all-around item. Then gets these this sword and chain and has this glove, gets these items off of Krugs, gets this Siphon, immediately says, okay, I can slam TG, I can slam Infinity Edge, put it right here on this unit that benefits from both of these items immediately, have a really strong stage 3, at least until other people start hitting dragons and upgrades on their board. 2-item Siphon against, boards that are largely like sort of mixed between upgraded and unupgraded units, is extremely strong, as you can see from just the massive damage output that he's getting here. And that Twitch with Deathblade Zeke's being able to put out actually a pretty impressive amount of damage himself. So now, he's on a 5 streak, I believe, going into this carousel. He's last picking, playing around this chain. Shirley is thinking about, some sort of frontline item. He's sort of gesturing at the cloak. He's sort of gesturing around, thinking about maybe making gargoyles, maybe making sunfire. There's the Silas with the chain, is certainly a pretty good hit, but he wants to get that anti-heal on board as quickly as he can, it seems, which is a pretty safe bet. Anti-heal is pretty much essential in any of the lobbies that you might see. Getting anti-heal in, especially with how many Namis there might be. I don't know what the Mirage is, but if it's Dawnbringer, having that anti-heal is really good, although it doesn't necessarily hit Deja until later. But by the time you're killing Deja, it's pretty much too late. You don't really need anti-heal. You're either killing him or you're not. But if it's Dawnbringer and you're able to subdue the benefit of that Mirage variant, by reducing the Dawnbringer healing by 50%, that is almost certainly worth it. Gets Tempest stunned, is able to take out the volley. Here we have Pocky has a pretty strong upgraded board. Whether he'll be able to pull this off or not, that siphon damage, that big chunk of siphon damage is more than enough to take Ezreal's HP bar down enough to secure that win. Thinking about leveling for Whisper, he does. Sends it straight to 7 here at 3-6. Leveling off tempo for a power spike like that is almost always worth it. You're going to make up that econ, especially if you're streaking, right? He's on a 6 streak. Preserving that streak going into neutrals is a lot of gold. So getting that 4 Whisper online with this 2-item siphon, he's looking around and there's there's Deja, there's this kind of very strong trainer board. There's a lot of scary boards that he has yet to fight. Here's Chalky's board with a lot of upgrades, playing Built Diff, which is always a very, very, very strong augment. Hard to play, but if you know how to play Built Diff really well, it is very, very scary. So leveling here and getting all the advantage that you can possibly get against these strong boards, hoping to secure your streak into neutrals is a really big deal. Hopefully he's able to kill this Shen. Maybe he's not able to finish off this Kiana. If he can get the charge off in time, can secure this win. You can see his damage goes from 4,000 to 8,000 off the strength of leveling up and putting in that 4th Whisper, giving him extra AP and AD against that scales up the longer the fight goes on. Really, really ramps this unit up to hit that 4 Mirage rather than just 3. And it is a difference maker in that fight, allows him to streak into neutrals, which is going to make him able to go to 8 much quicker. If he loses that round, 8 becomes significantly further away. Is able to hit this Gargoyle Stone Plate, Siphon Pair. Surely he's going to start. Oh no, he has the Nico. I forgot he had that on the bench. He Nico's the Siphon immediately. Now his 8 is as fast as you can possibly go. Now thinking about, okay, I've got this belt. Am I going to make Stone Plate or am I going to wait for Morello? Does decide to make Sunfire, holding the rod and the cloak. Probably to make, Hodge is healing, but it's not the best healing that you're ever going to find. So potentially thinking about making BT, Bloodthirster on this Siphon at a later time, or making, he's thinking about Mirage. He's holding this Lee Sin, or not Mirage, Tempest. He's holding this Lee Sin. He's holding these Ezreals. You might be thinking maybe, he'll think about pivoting out of Siphon and into Ao Shin later, which is a higher cap board. If you're able to go 8 or even 9 very quickly, Ao Shin is certainly going to be a more of a winning board than a capped Siphon board. He's thinking about Pandora's Bench, being able to convert dragons into dragons. Goes with Axiomark instead, getting that mana after kills. So when Siphon kills a unit, gets that mana boost, which makes it faster charges, which means killing more units, which means faster charges, which means killing more units. Now hits this Ezreal 2, levels to 8. To put this Ezreal 2 in to give Twitch that bonus, we now have 3 guild, which is a really very strong board for this stage of the game. Going 8, being able to go 8 at 4-2 and add something that spikes your board and adds value to your comp is always worth it. This upgraded Ezreal 2, the damage that it gives you is not much, right? But the bonus that you get on your Thieves Gloves Twitch is probably worth it. And now you're thinking about this Talon in the shop to go to 4 guild, making those bonuses even greater, right? The number of bonuses that you have. So does switch out the Ezreal for the Talon, giving that AD bonus, making Siphon hit even harder. And when Siphon hits harder and can crit, it is sort of a multiplicative effect. He has to be thinking about this Tahm Kench 1. Positioned really well for this Deja. Should be able to charge into that back line, especially with... Nope, the Yasuo moving out of position does not actually allow him to get into the back line, but it doesn't really matter. He's able to make short work through that charge, does a lot of damage across that front line, deleting a lot of those unupgraded units really quickly and handily, and then able to just walk into the back and kill the Deja, no problem. Just really smart play, really consistent play, not very risky. Taking an advantage and pressing it. That is the biggest thing I think you can probably learn from this game. Okay, I've got items. I'm going to slam them. Oh, I high roll this dragon. I'm going to play around this dragon. I can spike my board right now by going 8 off tempo and preserving my streak. Bam, done. Right, playing on tempo, on your own tempo, on your own advantage, basically being the one setting the tempo of the lobby. By saying, I'm leveling up now. My board is getting stronger. You're going to have to beat me. Because I'm on my way to 9. Good luck, fuckers. Not thinking too hard about these decisions, right? Just saying, okay, I've got this unit. I've got 2 of these units in an eco. Bam, slam it. No questions asked, right? I'm not holding this for, well, what if I get stuck on Ornn pair? What if I want to play Ao Shin and I only hit 2? Fuck that, right? That is an 8 gold. That's 8 free gold to upgrade your dragon. There is no question, right? Now, he's got this Bard in. He's getting Dutes really, really early, which means that he is able to see better and better units sooner, right? Now at level 8, he's got a 7% odds of finding 5-cost legendaries. 28% odds instead of 25 to find 4-cost units. The value of getting that Bard in early and getting those Dutes means that into the late game, you're going to have a much easier time hitting your Yasuos, hitting your Sorakas, hitting these really valuable 5-cost units, these 10-cost dragons, if that's what you're looking for. And a very, very early Bard is a very fortunate hit. And, he's got all these, there's all these Dejas in the lobby, and, he's got Siphon, right? Siphon, who, when positioned really well, can give you this really incredible backline access. If your Siphon decides to be high IQ, can be very, 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 very devastating to these Deja players. Because once that Deja dies, your fight is basically over. So if you can position your Siphon so that it actually gets into the back line, actually is able to one-shot or do a lot of damage to that unit, you are able to do a significant amount of damage to your opponent and there is a very strong correlation between damage done to your enemies and your placement. If you are winning fights and dealing more damage to your opponents, you are more likely to place higher. Go figure. So being able to hit, in stage 4, hit, these Deja 2 players for 12, 15 damage can be really, really game changing. Does hit the Orn here, which is a pretty significant upgrade over the Tom Kench 1 that he's been playing this whole game. Is maybe thinking about going 6 Whisper, swapping out, or 4, swapping out this Thresh for a Pike, and having this 4 Guild, 4 Whisper sort of Sins board. Lots of backline access. Not really worried about the front line so much, right? Looking at, this Sejuani, looking at this Ornn. You're not really looking to get too much front line because you don't really need it, right? You have 3 Deja players in the lobby. You want to get into that back line as quickly as you can and blow it up. Playing Pike Talon is a great... Pike Talon Siphon is a great way to do it. It takes the Shroud off the Treasure Dragon, which delays. Shroud is just a very strong item against a lot of both the 8 and 10 cost dragons. Unfortunately, is not able to get into that backline on that Deja. Keeps kind of sliding back and forth rather than penetrating into the backline. Takes a loss here, but not a terrible loss, all things considered. Has this Elise 2 upgrade. Now is starting to think about, okay, what else can I swap out? Can I pivot from here? Maybe this 4 Guild Twitch isn't Twitch Sejuani is not doing it for me anymore. I maybe want to go 2 Guild, 6 Whisper, which is exactly what he does here. Finding that Pike on the roll down, hitting his Talon 2, putting that upgraded Elise in. Definitely a stronger board, especially if he's able to hit that Pike 2 at some point and get that upgrade online. Now he's just kind of relying on his Siphon to make good decisions. Unfortunately, the Siphon does not seem to have enough healing to be able to outpace this Deja damage, and he's going to take a 3-unit loss here. Again, has that high HP, has been streaking for a long time, hasn't rolled all the way down to 0, is still thinking about going 9, and the more gold you have, the easier it is to get there. Great shot for him, Nico Ornn, now getting that Shapeshifter bonus on Elise, upgrading this Ornn unit. Still at 30 gold, thinking about going 9 and putting in Bard for 2 Guild. Is able to move the TG off of Twitch and on to Pike, which is fine. Pike, not the strongest unit in the game. Certainly not the strongest 5-cost unit in the game. You're not really super concerned with itemizing him perfectly, but getting some items on him doesn't hurt. It's still, he's got that execute. Rolling Archangels here, if the unit can ever live, which it rarely does because it's very squishy, would have been great. Doesn't really seem to matter. Siphon 2 with 3 items, more than enough to take care of Soju, who has low rolled his Deja and only has Deja 1. Deja pair sitting in the background. I remember watching this game from Soju's point of view and being like, well, this is what happens when you low roll. This is what happens when you low roll on a Deja. You're gonna have a bad day. If I remember right, he spent the entire time waiting for Dish Soap to die and go out, and Dish Soap does have Deja too, and Soju does not. So that does not really work out for him. Pretty unfortunate low roll from a pretty strong opener, if I remember right. Not really given a lot of options. Hextech or Bramble. Goes with the Hextech. Giving a little bit of healing that heals his team as well as healing him. Puts it on the Talon so that when Talon does that burst damage, it gives burst heal to a low HP ally. Keeping them in the fight a little bit longer. now starting to think really hard about thresh positioning and where he's trying to hook, where that thresh is going to be the most impactful. Is able to hook this Corki. Can he get the Siphon to go to the Corki? No. Namzi is able to sort of bait that charge out. Those frontline units being spread out is able to bait the charge from left to right, which is not really what you want your Siphon unit doing. Clear is able to secure a really convincing 15 HP victory here to keep his hopes alive, sitting at 10 HP. Again, we're looking at leveling up to 9 and putting this Bard in, getting those Dutes back, maybe switching, maybe being able to hit that Pike too. This board is pretty close to capped without just sort of switching out for, these big sort of 5-cost legendaries. Maybe swapping from 6 Whisper to 4 to be able to put a Yasuo in or some other sort of impactful unit that's more than maybe Elise Thresh can give you. Maybe moving out of Nico into something else. Maybe moving into Ornn and Silas as other comps die and those units become more free. He already has the Ornn too, of course, but Silas heavily contested in these kinds of lobbies. So potentially thinking about holding on to, playing his strongest board still right now, right? 6 Whisper, Elise, Nico, using those synergies to their fullest advantage, trading a little bit of his HP for the ability to go 9. And then maybe moving into an even higher capped board later, switching out of the 6 Whisper. He's also looking potentially at, he's holding these Elises. If he's able to 3-star Elise, that can be a very strong, very, very strong unit and makes it worth staying in with 6 Whisper. The units that Siphon is able to damage but not kill, Elise is able to come in and with the Execute. Pike is able to come in with the Execute and get those resets. There's a lot of really sort of subtle synergy in the order of operations, right? Siphon charges, takes these big chunks out of enemy units, and then Pike and Elise both are able to execute those units and get resets. And as those units are able to clear things off the board, then Siphon is able to attack those like tankier units or target those carries because some of the other sort of synergy units are off the board. And so it's turning value into value when you have these units out there, which is what Vertical Whispers is meant to do. And especially with, as I said before, Deja is really, really popular in both of the lobbies I watched today. Deja, very, very popular. These lobbies have been high rolling sort of the Mirage variants in terms of like a lot of Dawnbringer, a lot of Spell Sword. Siphon just decides to play nice and actually get into the Deja and do a lot of damage to Dish Soap here. Dish Soap goes out in 5th. Dish, Milk, and Soju are all 3 contested Deja and went 5, 6, 7. Deja can at best support 2, but 3 is a recipe for disaster for all 3 players. So if you find yourself in a lobby and you see that there are a lot of people playing Deja, just don't try it. Just don't try it. Unless you really are committed to going bot 8, you have some sort of like challenge going on, or you're trying to win a bet. If you see a lot of people really hard committing to Deja, it's probably best to just let them hold hands and secure your top 4 by playing something a little safer and a little less contested, because they're contesting you and each other, right? Whereas you're just playing your strongest board and not having to worry about it too hard, which is exactly what's going on in this DarthNub game. He has taken the units that are given to him. He's made a really, really sort of clear plan about how he wants to play them. He's playing the strongest board he can round by round, and it's paying off for him. Slamming items, thankfully, like playing around his items, getting that Siphon early when he was already getting these, sword, glove, had already slammed Hajj. He sort of created a direction, and the game also gave him that direction, right? Said, okay, good for you that you have these items because here's the perfect holder for them. And is able to capitalize on that advantage all the way into the end game. But along the way, it's just making really smart decisions. Okay, I'm going to go 6 Whisper. Silas is contested, but Elise is not. I have this Pike. I have this upgraded Elise. I can worry about Siphon later, or Silas later if I even want to. And very comfortably, just extremely comfortably plays the 6 Whisper board to a win. He lets the rest of the lobby kind of play against each other. At no point does he seem threatened. At no point, does he? There are a lot of very fortunate hits. He gets that Nico and that Siphon pair and is able to upgrade them. But once he has that Siphon, he commits to it. He's like, okay, this is what I'm playing. I've got the items. I've got the units. I'll figure out the rest. I've got 2 Siphons and a Dream, man. I've got Siphon, IE. Fuck it. That's what I'm playing. Looks around and sees there's these trainer boards. There's people playing mages. There's people playing Deja and says, okay, I can't play Siphon Corki. I can't play Siphon Mages. I'm going to play Vertical Whispers. Why not? If people are all playing Mages, Trainer, Corki, Deja, that means all of the rest of the units that I need, which are primarily 3-cost units, are completely uncontested. Who's buying Pike? Who's buying Elise? Who is buying Thresh? Right? Silas? Okay, no Silas because Silas is on everyone's board. Cool, I'll get Bruiser from Ornn. Not a big deal. Plays around that guild trait for a lot of it, right? Keeps that Sejuani, keeps that Twitch. Uses those guild units that are underplayed to his advantage, right? Who's playing Twitch? Sejuani tends to be contested, but he hit it early. Has this Twitch. Who's playing Talon? No one, right? So he's playing around these uncontested units that no one wants to buy. And he's piecing them together with this really, really, really strong, highly, perfectly itemized Siphon and turns it into a 53 HP win in a tournament lobby. And part of that is exacerbated by the fact that these players, right, are out here contesting each other. And so, Soju can't hit Deja 2, so he's losing a lot of fights. Milk and Dish Soap both hit Deja 2, but they're rolling down a lot of gold and they're sabotaging sort of their placement. Like usually one of these 3 will kind of high roll and contest for first or second, but in this case, it worked out that they all just kind of held hands, bought 4. And these other players, though, are also sort of competing. A lot of them decided to go Corki, Trainer, Mages. So you've got these 3 people competing for units and these 3 people competing for units. And here's you. No one's playing this. No one's playing this. No one's playing this. No one's playing this. There's no Ao Shin player. No one's playing this. I think the one Jade player went out early. No one's playing this. This is a winning board in those circumstances. Now, if somebody else was high rolling and they're playing, Ao Shin 2, right? This is not a winning board. And you have to recognize this. You can't go, oh, is 6 Whisper actually broken? No, it's not. In this specific circumstance, in this specific lobby, looking at these players and their decisions, this is a winning board because you are playing upgraded, uncontested units with great items against a bunch of people who are spending a lot of time and gold fighting each other for units. And you're just sailing. Oh, natural. I natural a Nico too. Oh, I natural this Ornn. Oh, I natural this Talon because no one's buying them. So he's able to save up a lot of money. He doesn't even really have to go 9. He does to get this Bard unit in, which is very strong, but he wins this lobby without Bard pretty handily. But he's this close to 9. Why not? Why not? Level 9, put Bard in. Literally can't hurt. Your board's capped otherwise other than this Pike, right? So this is a great example of having a sense of the lobby, right? Being able to look around the lobby and say, okay, here's what everyone else is doing. Here's what I have. I'm going to go this way. Everyone else is trying to go this way. I'm going to go that way. And it pays off. It pays off really well. You don't see any point where he looks flustered or out of control or in danger of losing too badly, right? The close fights, the fights he loses tend to be pretty close, except for in that stage 5 area where, he was econing up to go 8 and then 9 and lost a few fights. But this is just phenomenal game sense, right? The board itself is nothing to write home about. It's not terribly impressive as a stage 6 board goes, right? This is a top 4 board in most lobbies, most times. But in this circumstance, he's able to make it work because of the situation, the game state outside of his board. Which I think is just brilliant. I think it's just really, really brilliant play by DarthNub, who is another one of these players that I was kind of like, man, I've seen them on Reddit. They post guides and I think they're a moderator for the competitive TFT subreddit or whatever. So I see their name around here and there, but I never really sort of watched them as a player. And I have a ton of respect for them after watching this game and just really showing how much game sense actually is in TFT. You talk about game sense in terms of first-person shooter games, tactical games, but game sense is very, very real in TFT. And it's being able to sort of read the temperature and the inclination and proclivities of the players in your lobby and make informed decisions from there. Very, very, very good game. Finally, I want to watch this Amde. We watched one of his VODs yesterday, and I was really, really impressed. And they had another just phenomenal day today, finishing in first place on the back of some really, really, really strong play. Started off the game with a 6th, then went first, second, first, second, 6th. Not a bad day at all. More than enough points to secure top 1 on the day and move into the second day with 3, or the third day with 3 bonus points, which is nothing to scoff at. The biggest diff between scrubs and babes? I think so. I think so. Because, again, that board that we just looked at is not a winning board. In a lot of my lobbies, in a lot of Masters lobbies, that board is not good enough to win. It's good enough to top 4 for sure, but it's not good enough to win. But in this one instance, in this one circumstance, it's more than enough to win, right? 53 HP he finishes the game with. And that's not because of Soraka healing. It's just because that lobby was a clusterfuck and everyone decided that they wanted to fight over all the same units. And he just said, click, I'm going to click all the units you don't click. And I'm going to put them on my board and I'm going to upgrade all of them and I'm going to beat your ass. Paid off. Let me go get some coffee before we go into this match. I believe this is his... I wanted to watch this match because he does go 6th to start the day and then bounces back with a top 1. And I feel like, all of these players, right, to be able to play at this level, you have to be able to keep sort of like your mental on track. And so you can't really hit this level without having a pretty strong mental game. But for a player like this, who, at least as far as I know, is relatively new to streaming and to the tournament scene, I haven't really seen them in tournaments in the past. Maybe I'm just wrong, but for this player that's new to me, I'm really kind of curious how they bounce back, right, from how their mental bounces back from a really strong first day to a kind of not great first game into, a really, really, really solid second game. And I have not watched this one. I assume it's very solid because they win. But beyond that, I don't really know. So let me go top off my coffee and we'll get to it. And I really just kind of want to showcase this guy. I know that there's not a lot of people here watching this stuff, but I want to say that I was like looking at him and seeing his play style and recognizing him before anyone else was, God damn it. Because I think he's a really, really good player. Whisper thinks he's going to get double feeds for some reason. What a deluded kitten. All right, let's get to it. I don't think they play music during their games, so I'd like to
back, everybody, to the Dragonlands.
kind of hear.
All right, we're going.
Sure we are.
And I'm joined now by Admirable and Mean.
All right, second game. Let's see what we got.
11-11, make a wee.
Hopefully not 8th.
Hopefully not
Pretty
8.
bad spot.
That would be a very bad spot. You are correct. Second game. Let's see how we're doing. Hopefully not 8th. That would be a really bad spot. You know, I want to say, I don't know how much he has, his following or whatever has improved. He picked up 30 new followers between yesterday and today. 30. That's it.
Fuck. No. I would have. It's fine. Tier isn't that bad.
It's a tier chain glove lobby. Not great.
Yeah, tier isn't that bad.
Playing with in-game music, imagine that. I can't listen to it so bad. Okay, we're just gonna go back to I like my music better. Picking up that the Skarner pair, he's got sort of redemption. He's thinking about, okay, how do I neutralize this tier, right? It's probably not redemption. Belt is too valuable to waste on a redemption. So maybe it's Shiv. You know, here we have a Shiv. Like, that's a really good early game slam. Picks up the Karma. Now he's got this really intense shop. Heimer, Sedge, Senna, Heimer, Sedge. That's a really, really, really good shop. I don't think you ever dropped this Skarner pair, but maybe dropping the Karma to be able to hold at least one of these. He has 3 items, so he knows he's going to get gold. Now that I think about it. So he wants to maximize the number of units he can hold. He's going to get at least 5 gold. With the Jinx, picks up the Trainer and the Cannoneer. Looking at implants is probably the safest bet here. Electrocharge 2, not bad. Exile's not bad, but implants, cybernetic implants, one of the strongest gold augments in the game, especially for Cannoneers. Looks like he might be going to check the tactic.tools database. Alt-tabbing to look at something for sure. You can see him typing. I think it's cybernetic. I mean, I'm clicking that instantly, personally. Hits the Skarner, is able to put the Shen in. Has enough gold to level to 4 if he wants to, and put this Cannoneer. Probably slams the Shiv, and has a very, very, very strong opening board. You know, you'd like to get Tom Kenshin for that Revel damage. But Shiv, just a phenomenally strong early game slam. Kurumx taking item grab bag and getting, having that spark slam. Not quite enough damage. Hitting Lulu here as well. Lulu Heimer. A 2-2 trainer. With Heimer pair is not bad. I would probably be thinking about, I think he is as well, taking that Shen out to be able to put these units in. Then again, having that Bruiser front line, nothing to slouch at. So maybe waiting until he can level up to put these units in. His board does get definitely weaker if he tries to put these in. It is sort of a trade-off. Perhaps if he'd lost that first round, it would be an easier trade to make. You just allow yourself to loss streak into at least carousel. But here with the Shiv, with the Cannoneer, with the upgraded Skarner, the Bruiser frontline, the ability to win streak potentially into Carousel, a bit too high. Plus, you know, if he's able, he's got this Senna pair, he's got this Heimer pair. Staying at 4 gives him better shop odds to upgrade those units, which are big. You know, Senna 2 is a pretty big power spike. He might be thinking about pre-leveling here to get that level 5 shop. Being able to upgrade Shen or get Trist in, higher odds at Trist are pretty good. Whether he decides to make 10 here or not, he'll have to sell the Lulu or the Senna pair to be able to do it. So he does go ahead and pre-level. He full levels to 5, puts trainer in at 2-3, says, okay, you know, I'm pretty strong. I think I want to get that trainer online, start feeding Namzi some snacks, committing to playing Namzi into at least the mid game. I think at this point to slam levels like that just to get trainer online. They recently changed Namzi's scaling so that it's weaker at the start and stronger at the finish. So the sooner you get it in, the quicker it scales, and the quicker it scales, by far the stronger it becomes. Getting that Namzi to 3 and then 4 stars makes it a very, very, very powerful unit indeed. So it does make the decision at 2-3 to spend the money, keep the Jinx in, and be able to put trainer in. He's poor, but he's strong. Good to know. Yeah, if you get that Lulu, Heimer, or Trist Heimer early, and you can get them online, you know, it might not make the strongest board right now, but it is. I mean, the whole point is that, like, you know, you have to train Namzi to be good. Mort was saying this in the rundown when they were making this change. They were like, yeah, so trainer, right? You have the trainers that are training this little frog to be big and strong. So makes no sense that it's strong right off the bat. So we've made early Namzi weaker, but then you train him to be a better unit. And it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. He's poor, but he's strong. Sounds like an Alanis line. A little bit. That's not bad. Swaps out, hits the Senna upgrade, and is able to swap the Jinx out, put the Senna in with the Shiv. Now can make 10 either way. Has a very, 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 very strong board at this point. Hopefully, you know, if the Skarner can stay alive. Oh, he got a little bit of healing, it appears. Or the shield, I think, saved it. Nunu spit the Skarner out, which allowed the backline a little bit more time to get some of those static Shiv procs off, get a little more damage, keep the streak going. All he really wants is a top 4. It's true. That's all. Men only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting. So again, these like really strong openers, the key is to continue to press your success, right? If you are strong and can get stronger, then get stronger. You know, he realizes I can level up, and yeah, I'm going to be kind of poor on the immediate, and I definitely need to win, because if he levels up to 5 at 2-3 and loses, he is fucked. But you know, he's leveling up to put trainer in, to get better shop odds for these 2 and 3 cost units that he needs. He's got a pretty strong front line. He's got a very good early game item in Static Shiv. He's getting trainer online. You know, it seems to be worth. Now here, this Aatrox volley Ragewing thing ends his streak. So he now lost a lot of gold from that spot. And he's going to have to think about, okay, how do I make that up? I was kind of counting on streaking into stage 3, and now I'm losing like a bunch of gold. It's going to be way harder for me to comfortably push 6 and then 7. Thankfully, he gets this Trist pair. in his shop, which allows his Namzi to scale up even faster. He's now he's holding this this Senna on the bench to put back in. He might be thinking about going straight to 6 here on 3-1. He's able to hit Stone Plate or Sunfire. I think Sunfire is probably the stronger slam, especially on this Skarner. This Trist upgrade is massive. Massive, massive, massive. Now he's certainly thinking about leveling up. Slams the Sunfire. If it's me, I'm leveling up here and putting that Senna in. Okay, I lost a round. My Econ is going to suffer a little bit for it, but I can level right now and get way, way stronger. Alternatively, he sells the Senna, moves the Shiv over to Trist, and is now able to make 30 gold. I honestly think both are pretty viable. He's the challenger player, though, so I'll trust his instincts for now. I probably would have just slammed the level, which is why I'm a master player. I've also watched too much Soju, and I'd be like, Econ is fake. Level up, bitch. Does not need to level up. Is plenty strong to beat Milk here and still be at 30 instead of 16. Singing the Atlantis song. I don't remember how that goes, so I could not emulate it. I don't know which one you're referring to because it does not immediately ring a bell. All he really wants... What's the original? All he really wants is what? I don't know. Pandora's is a risk. Thrill is not. Better Together is okay, especially if you're thinking about slamming Ice Cream Cone, which he has right here, or Zeke's, which is really good for Corky. Better Together is a very strong choice for this particular comp, not unlike the that Mirage comp we were talking about, being able to backline all of your calves and give them that shield, as well as giving Deja the shield. You know, if you're able to... he rerolls, gets Cybernetic Uplink, which is just a better augment choice across the board. Doesn't like what he sees, rerolls, and it pays off. I thought he was really going to consider taking Better Together and getting that Locket and Ice Cream Cone value right off the bat. But a very good reroll that works out immediately and directly to his advantage. '90s lyric rewrites. I don't know that song at all. I mean, I know I know Alanis Morissette, like but I don't know every single Alanis song or lyric, and that one just for whatever reason does not ring a bell for me, which makes me feel like my '90s kid credibility is in jeopardy. But I know it's not. Like, you can't know every lyric of every song. Silas pair here is really, really, really good. Look at that cute little alert. Look at that cute little bouncing T-Rex. Pretty straightforward sort of game at this point, right? He's got the mage in now. Your brain power is elsewhere. You didn't recognize it immediately. Probably. Now has this sort of trainer mage comp kind of online with this Silas. He's got the Heimer. He slots in this Vlad 1, which, you know, but Namzi benefiting from this Shiv, which gives MR Shred in 3 trainer boost, giving that double damage, plus the MR Shred means that Namzi's ult absolutely just beats ass. If you go back and watch that Namzi ult, it just shreds through about 3/4 of the team and takes off half their health bar at least. Chalky in really bad space after that. Really seems to be having a really rough time, or maybe disconnected. Hard to say. 39 HP at 3-4. Something catastrophically wrong has occurred. Goes for this chain, looking to make Stone Plate. Certainly not Frozen Heart. Has this tier. Maybe he's going to put this this ideally wants to find another mage so he can move this stone plate over to Silas and get them cybernetic value. The Jinx in the shop. Jinx Tom Kench might be thinking about, swapping out to get this Revel value. Levels immediately to be able to put Jinx in. Get that that Revel on damage online. Now has far better sort of synergies going on. Sees the Rise at the last second. Is able to swap out Vlad 1 for Rise 1. I think Vlad 1 and Rise 1 are probably the same unit because Rise is so bad. But you do get the guild bonus, and that's really kind of the only difference in terms of their damage output. Rise is really not a very good unit at all. Able to make very short work of this Deja. And this comp is really coming together. He, starts off seeing this this sort of trainer angle, and does not panic. Right? This is the thing that I take away from. Right? I leveled to 7 and I put in a unit, and now I'm gonna roll, right? Because I have level 7 shop odds before anyone else. So let me roll to 15. Let me roll to 10. Let me roll to 8. Let me roll to 0. Let me get mad that I whiffed. Now let me spend an entire stage losing 50 HP, getting my econ back up so I can go 8. Oh no, how come this game is a 6th? Here, this challenger player says, I'm in a really strong spot. I'm leveling on the tempo of my spot. And now I'm chilling here. I'm at 20 gold, 86 HP. I have a pretty strong board. I might win, I might lose, but I'm in a really good spot. And the units will come to me. He hits the Silas pair. He's got these trainers. Looks like he's going to lose here, but that's kind of okay. Surely at some point he'll be able to upgrade this Tom Kench and this Silas, but it's not worth rolling for at this point. Lulu will come. Silas will come. There's no value in rolling here, really. His upgrades, his front line needs upgrades, but it's not game breaking. He's got enough damage between Namzi, Jinx, Revel, Trist with the Shiv, to be able to not get 5, 6, 7 0'd, and the stability will come. So here is a Tom Kench upgrade. There's Orn pair now. He decides against that. He wants to be able to make 40 here. Tom Kench 1, not great. Tom Kench 2, pretty strong unit. Probably up until about 4-5, 5-1 in this comp. Ideally, you want to replace it, with a dragon, whether it's looking like Siphon at this point with how he's he's caught these Silases, right? You're really just kind of looking to hit Siphon and go from there. But Tom Kench gives you synergies, gives you that Revel, gives you that Bruiser, is a perfectly viable sort of frontline upgrade at this point until that dragon comes along. So he just trusts that, he's pretty stable here. He's not going to necessarily win every fight, but he's not going to lose terribly if he does. Again, is able to take down another Deja player. Deja not able to spread the damage around the board enough to kill all of these units. All of these are decent. Stand is probably the best choice here if you're playing Corki. Here comes that Silas upgrade. Here's a Lulu pair. Here's a Corki, which is a pretty big upgrade over Jinx typically. Now he decides, okay, time to roll it down a little bit. Hits the Nami upgrade, hits Corki, has this Lulu pair, decides that rolling for just Lulu 2 is not good enough. His board is even stronger now than it was a turn ago. And a turn ago, it was pretty stable. So now he has his upgraded front line. The goal, right? Go to 8. Hopefully you hit Siphon along the way. But you're probably not going to even think about putting in Siphon until you have Siphon 2 at this point. because you don't have items, right? You're playing cybernetic. You don't really have completed items right now other than this Sunfire and this Shiv. So even if you do hit Silas 2 or Siphon 2, is it really that good of a unit? Is it really doing that much for you that your board can't already do for itself? The answer probably no. Corki with the stun here is actually going to secure this fight with the Deja. Again, Deja not able to spread the damage out around the board enough. The Deja casts, it hits 1 or 2 units and chunks them down or kills them outright, but it can't cast fast enough to kill all of the units because it's casting middle and then left and then right. So it needs 3 casts to kill all these units rather than just 1 because of positioning, because of how the units are positioned on the board and where the Deja is positioned as well. Wonder how impactful this Namzi ult will be. It looks pretty nasty to me. Goes right through and kills just a bunch of those clumped units. When those Namzi ults go off, boy, they just go right off. Now the Namzi upgraded to Namzi 3. Namzi doing 3k damage on 2 casts, I think. Zoe would be really good here, but he's probably not going to get it. Chain belt glove. That's the thing about cybernetic is you got to spread those item components around. But the problem is you've got a bunch of item components spread around. So finishing items, finishing good items, can be really challenging. Looked like he was thinking about Last Whisper for that Corki, right? If he was able to hit Corki 2, it combines into Last Whisper. This one, it combines into... he wanted to get the glove to make Last Whisper, if I'm not mistaken. Decides to level here to 8, put the Sona in. Again, levels, fast 8, off tempo, to get that unit in that gives him Evoker, gives him Revel, gives him CC. Decides to sell the Corki pair so that he can get cyber value, potentially. Maybe he slams Stone Plate. He does. Sell the cloak on a Corki is pretty much a wasted component. So being able to just sell that, knowing that he'll probably be able to hit Corki 2 at some point. Without too much trouble. There don't seem to be a lot of Corki players in the lobby. There doesn't seem to be anybody running this particular comp. So if he does want to play the Corki variety, he can do that. But if he decides that he wants to play mages and he's picking up this Rise pair, he can just pivot right out of it because he's not super worried about... He hasn't slammed all of these Corki items. He's not playing... he doesn't have Rage Blade. He doesn't have GS or anything like that. So he's got a lot of flexibility in where he wants to go with this. He's got this upgraded Nami. He's got this upgraded Silas. He's got this Rise that he can upgrade. And maybe he's thinking about going 5 mage. Because if he were able to drop, Corki Sona for this Rise Zoe, might be, a pretty decent play. He might be thinking about. The benefit that he has here from cybernetics is it has offered him a lot of flexibility. He's playing a comp that can be very versatile, right? You can play this with Corki, you can play this with mages, and it's really just kind of dependent on what units you hit and what items you're able to make. And here in this case, he has hit all of the units and has not made any of the items, so he can kind of go any way he wants. It also does not help or hurt that his item components are complete dog shit. So having this cloak, glove, tier, you don't really want to slam anything out of those items anyway. So cool, you take cybernetic, you don't actually have to slam shitty items. and you're still getting value from them. So he's replacing the Nami. Rolling down here at 8. He took IE. Plus, now he has sword, cloak, belt. Hits the siphon. Now has BTIE. Stone plate for the Silas. Has pivoted sort of out of this quirky.
You are dreaming.
Decisions to make. Do I want to play, do I want to play quirky? Do I want to play mages? How do I want to go about this? Are we slamming Zeke's here? Seems to be. Seems like a pretty strong slam to me. He can also reforge one of this glove or this tier and have a full item if he wants to. Wow, that Namzi ult. Absolutely massive. I will be very curious to see what kind of just like the Namzi ult that you see in your dreams. 5k damage from that Namzi just because of the way that those units were all lined up as if to say, please burn me daddy. And Namzi is happy to oblige. Please don't call Namzi daddy. That's weird. God, what a fucking great song. Which one is this? That dream sequence. That dreaming but you were still awake sample is just choice. Pucky with a Nunu 3. Now we're starting to see Ao Shin in the lobby. This board has been streaking for a while, but it's entirely possible if the Siphon does not play nice that this streak might come to an end. Pucky out here with Nunu 3 item Deja. Whap! Only chunks half of the health bar, but more than enough with the Rise ult to take that Nunu 3 down. And Triss coming in to clean up. Really big win there for this unit. And now Namzi is going to get Dummy Thick. Upgraded Trainer 3. 4 stars. If you thought this Namzi was beaten ass before, it's clobbering time. This is another one of those. Oh, everybody in the lobby went Deja? Okay. I won't. And now all the Deja players are at like 30, 40 HP, and I'm at 76 on a 7 streak. Now, Milk here has this Cav Yasuo, and Cav Yasuo is not okay. It is a broken unit. Namzi gets jebaited by the Yasuo dashing all around. Ult's nothing. And he takes the loss here. Unfortunate. Thanks to Cav Yasuo. Not because that board is very good, but because that unit, that one unit, is so fucking broken that it makes you wonder how it ever got through any kind of playtesting. It wouldn't be so bad if it were elusive, right? If Cav was like Revel Spat, where you could only get it from like an augment or from a tome. But it's one you can make. You can just, it's just spat chain. And spats are so much more prevalent in this set due to things like Earth's Grab Bag that being able to just slam a Cav spat and put it on that unit is actually game breaking. It is hyper illegal. And yet, here we are in a world where this is allowed to exist. Assumes the switch. Does not fight any of the Deja units or boards. Fights this DQA volley board. Unfortunately, it seems like he might have missed. Given that he's at 7 HP and 1 off of volley 3, just really unfortunate. Hitting that volley 3 power spike is very, 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 very important to that comp. If you do not hit volley 3, you are going 8th. That's just the way that it is. So now 65 HP. Again, not the most stellar board. That's something that I'm learning from this game. It's not the most stellar board. He's not playing to play the most capped Ao Shin thing. He's still, it's 5-6 and he's sitting on Siphon 1. He's letting the lobby play against themselves. And this is maybe more exclusive to sort of the tournament. But I guarantee you in your games, no matter what elo you're playing, right? If you're playing games and people decide that they are playing and hard forcing Deja, that's what they are going to do, right? If you see 3 people who are like, me Deja, no scout, no pivot, you can run this kind of mediocre board and win, and absolutely win, and very, very, very easily top 4. Just based on the fact that a lot of boards are going to be really, really weak because they're all contesting the same units. And so your board is stronger by comparison. Here he is, 56 HP going into 6-1 with a Siphon 1 on his board. Wild. But it's intelligent, right? It's clearly like a good play. It's clearly a good, thoughtful, intelligent play to just play Siphon Mages from here. Levels up. Throws a Corki in there. Why not? Zoe. Bam. He's got that Stand United value. He's got Bard here. Again, still playing Siphon 1. Namzi is his carry at this point. Hopefully, he's saying hopefully this Namzi is able to ult some of these units. Hopefully Deja is able to go, or the Siphon is able to go into the back line. Unfortunately not, but the Namzi ult really able to do a lot of chunking of these units. Siphon able to find that Yasuo, and Milk's day is over. Not over all the way, but it's a pretty nasty loss that he takes there, taking him down to 4 HP. Now, kind of comfortably sitting on Siphon pair, reforges that glove off of Sona. It becomes a tier that he immediately is able to put on Zoe. I think regardless of what item it turned into, he would put it on Zoe so that she got that cybernetic uplift value. Now thinking about how do I get into that Ao Shin. I see that there's a Zephyr on that Gnar. Hopefully it Zephyrs the Namzi, and my Ao Shin is able to get back into that back line. It actually hits the Silas, and now you've got the Gnar kind of in on that on the Lulu. Siphon able to survive that ult, and now is putting a lot of damage in on the Ao Shin. Unfortunately, gets baited by the Daisy. Very lucky Daisy cast by that Zoe on the opposing team. Very, very lucky. Able to pull that Siphon's focus and get it to charge away, securing the win. Kurum playing a very, very strong board. But no upgraded Zoe, no upgraded Ao Shin. Here, the Pocky won the Deja lottery and is able to top 4, where Soju and Milk. Soju able to top 5, Milk able to top 4, Pocky able to top 3. but no one going home particularly happy. The Yasuo is dead. Ding dong. It is the Ghost. Pocky is out, beaten by Kurum's board. Mage Spat on the Nico is a really big hit if he can pick it up, giving that Sona mage offers a lot of CC. Kurum does have the upgraded Zoe. Now finally able to upgrade the Siphon, which the Siphon's lack of one-shotting due to being Siphon 1 has been a detriment in these later fights. So hitting that upgrade here in the sort of final confrontation, pretty big to be able to one-shot more of those units. You see the Orin is 1 star, the Bard is 1 star, the Ao Shin is 1 star. All of those units one-shottable by this Siphon ult. Silas 1 star. Really, the strength of Kurum's board right now is this Ao Shin and this upgraded Zoe, but able to walk right through that unupgraded front line and put just an enormous amount of damage, 22 HP onto Kurum's board due to that unupgraded front line. Never really standing a chance. If Kurumx cannot upgrade his board, here he's able to get that Ornn, able to get Nico 2 in there, which are some pretty solid upgrades to that board. This might be a very, very different fight. Might come down to positioning. We've got double Zephyrs in the back line on Bard and Rise. So now the mind games are really starting to happen. Where am I going to position my units? Moves the Sona to the front to avoid the backline Zephyr. Zoe and Trist both Zephyred, but Sona able to double cast and stun the Ao Shin in the back line. Siphon able to charge into the back line onto first the Ao Shin, then directly over to the Zoe. Cosmic Brain Siphon puts another 22 damage on Kurum, and this one looks to be pretty well in the bag. Both of them getting pretty useless items, but Kurum able to upgrade Ao Shin to 2 stars. If Siphon is able to get into the back line and work things out the way that they did in that first fight, it won't really matter. But if not, this Ao Shin 2 might be a bit of a handful. The thing about the board that Ambi is playing right now is he's at 42 HP. And so he has a lot more wiggle room to play with in terms of losing fights. The problem with that, though, is his board is pretty capped other than this Zoe. And now his board is completely capped, more or less. He cannot get stronger than this. He's level 9. All of his units are pretty well upgraded. He can't put the Sunfire on Namzi. It does not work that way, my friend. Both boards getting very, very close to capped. And now it's item difference, it's positioning difference. It's those mind games with Zephyrs and positions of units and what's going to happen and all of that sort of stuff. But Kurum has to play every single match perfectly, and MD does not. Big advantage on his side, even though Kurum has the higher cap board, but is able to instantly one-shot the Ao Shin before it can cast, secure the victory. Again, not the strongest board you'll ever see in Teamfight Tactics. Not the strongest board you'll ever see in TFT. Let's go back and sort of take a look at this. Then don't get me wrong, it is a very strong board. This is an S tier comp in the meta, but so is this. So is what Kurum's running. Right, and so really what this comes down to, right, is augments, right? He's got 3 combat augments that are very, very strong. He's got very good items on his Siphon. He gets this Mage Cap late on Sona, which offers him so much CC. He's got 3 incredible items on Silas. Itemization is so big. And at some point he'll take a look at Kurum's board and we can have a gander at it and look at sort of the differences between these 2 compositions, right? Once he gets done with Namzi here. Oh, Oh, quit. Yeah, he's trying not to be seen checking out the board as if he could possibly be looking at someone else's board. Switch, switch. Up. Don't notice that I'm noticing. So here, right, we've got these great frontline items on the Nico. Orn rolls fantastic frontline items. We have Double Shiv, i.e. Zoe, and then i.e. Hodge, Archangels, Aoshin 2. 2 Zephyrs, right? This is a very, very strong board. You have the Silas here that is basically just giving us mage. So you have 3 mage. You have the Mystic, right? You have Evoker. You have Bruiser. And you're running this Jade. Or this, what's her butt? Nico. Because Nico is a strong unit with center control, right? She's got CC in the middle of the board. She's very tanky. As a splash unit at 9, you could do way, way worse. This board is a higher cap than this board. But this Silas 1, this Rise 1, this Bard 1, here we have all upgrades, right? You can't really get stronger than this without 3-starring units. So really it kind of comes down to positioning. Excuse me. Sona gets Zephyred. Triss gets Zephyred. But let's look at what this Siphon decides to do. Comes across the board. Turns. And now is stuck on these tanks, right? And you might think, oh no, like my Siphon is stuck on these tanks. What am I going to do? This Namzi is putting in tons of damage here. Zoe coming out like this all is still kind of buying time for these units to go, right? Bard gets the ult off just in sort of time for the Siphon to charge again and do right into the enemy carry. Chomps, 1 shot. On top of that, the Namzi, if I'm not mistaken, casts and immediately eliminates that Zoe. Am I right about that? 154.01? 154. Let's watch that again. Oh, that's too far. What happens to this unit? I'm very curious because it does not seem, I can't see what's hitting Zoe. Siphon cast. Heimer. Stun. The charge. That crit hits the Aoshin and it goes away instantly. What is hitting the Zoe? What? 1008, 1008, 1008. Is it the Sona? Is it the Daisy? Is it the Daisy Slam? What does it? I think it might be. I think it's this Daisy Slam right here. I did not see a Daisy. Maybe it is the Namzi. No, the Namzi cast goes here. Yeah, it's got to be that Daisy, right? Because this is not double tapping. This thing kills the Aoshin. Does the Daisy one-shot that Zoe? Huh. Look how happy he is. Like, yeah, he turned it around. Turned it around. Let's hear what he has to say at the end. Let's listen to this fight from his point of view. I'm very curious. Because again, he's coming off of a 6th after a very, very strong first day. He starts off his day with a 6th place.
Just hit.
Forehead.
Sunfire Cape users. Anyone? Take it. Oh man.
Oh man.
No, it's this. It's probably just.
Bard, the only one not holding an
Oh,
item.
I got my Sonos effort. That's not good.
Getting that cybernetic value.
This spot is still really good because it hits the Zoe. I might actually lose this fight. 'Cause my boy got so much more HP though. Oh yes! The Siphon and Namzi smash at the same time.
It's top 1.
Nice.
Ah, yes.
Man, my augments were so insane that game.
True. True, true, true. I think he's reading chat on his phone. But I'm not 100%.
Let's go.
Let's go. This dude who's playing out of his mind in this tournament, okay? I'm going to drop the link here in the chat for you right now. Because this dude who is playing out of control.
Holy shit, I love
TFT.
Teamfight Tactics. Holy shit, I love augment.
Has 65 followers. Okay, think about that. I feel like I'm channeling a little bit.
The board. That's a lot of Mystic on Casper's side as well. Casper and Darth tied now.
I feel like I'm channeling deep cuts just a little bit here, but for real though, this guy out here streaming TFT at just a really, really, really high level, right? Let's see how far back his clips go. How long has he been streaming? A few months, maybe. New streamer, playing on with his headset mic or whatever, with no like overlays. His background is looking for a game to capture in between all of the games, right? Pretty clearly like new to streaming, playing out of control TFT. On sort of the biggest stage that you can possibly play on at this point, right? At least in NA, pulling out these wins, playing really, really sort of consistent, very, very solid teamfight tactics, making it in to the 3rd day in 1st place, 3-point lead over the rest of the lobby. I will be very, very, very curious to see sort of how, if he's able to continue to play at this level. This is a really stacked lobby, though. These players have been all playing really, really consistently. Very, very good TFT. I'm personally rooting for Kurumx. I just like the guy. I just think he's a good streamer, and I like the way he plays TFT. I have my biases. Deal with it. But I'm also, we all love an underdog story, right? Clear is not somebody I've really seen a lot of. Pocky, I think, is a sort of smaller sort of name in the community. He's not as big as Kurumx or was well known as DQA or some of these other people, Robin. But it'll be really interesting to see sort of tomorrow how these all play out. I'll be around watching these games and hopefully be back again for a recap of the tournament and some VOD reviews of the final lobby. If you watched this, thank you for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow. See ya.